and your children are turned into mindless vassals who now they look up to some twit instead of looking up to Thomas Jefferson or looking up to Nikola Tesla or looking up to Magellan. I mean, kids, Magellan's a lot cooler than Justin Bieber. He circumnavigated with one ship the entire planet. He was killed by wild natives before they got back to Portugal. And when they got back, there was only...
But why? $22 million in 3 fucking hours! There is no nobility in poverty. I have been a rich man and I have been a poor man, and I choose rich every fucking time. The real question is this: was all this legal? Absolutely fucking not. Neither go towards the feeding grounds at the edge of the ice, nor return to the colony. Shortly afterwards, we saw him heading straight towards the mountains, some 70 kilometers away. Dr. Ainley explained that even if he caught him and brought him back to the colony, he would immediately head right back for the mountains. But why?
What's your dream? To go away.
To go away. That's right.
Do you guys want to drink? I don't understand why everybody has to be so judgmental. I understand why mom's judgmental. I think it's because she cares, partially. I think it's also partially because everyone else is looking at her like, hey, Cody's just a bum. Cody's this, Cody's that, Cody's this. Cody's me, bro. Let me be me.
All right, GMCG, welcome back. Monday of the middle of the summer. We're almost at kind of like the midpoint, not really the midpoint. It's like, I guess July long weekend is coming up next weekend. So just a reminder that we are actually going to have a week off next week. MCG has been streaming straight from August of last year to this point, and even before that, actually, truly, we were actually July to July. So we're going to take a much needed break next week. So there will be no MCG streams next week, guys. And but we will get back to it starting on July 6th. So don't expect to see any lives 29th, 30th, 1st, 2nd, 3rd. As it is Canada Day, as well as US July 4th long weekend. So yeah, we'll get into it. We'll bring the streams back, but yeah, we're gonna take a bit of a break. Today we actually have a GameFi day, and I think what's exciting about GameFi is that with the emergence of AI and good quality AI really helps, I guess, in the development process where, building games was always very expensive. And that's where teams needed to raise a lot of capital and dilute their own token in order to create games that worked on chain. And in this era of GameFi, we see the emergence of AI, which reduces the cost a lot and I think makes it just a little more feasible for the rapid deployment of different game tokens. We can also see here spot dexes. Solana tokenized equity volume absolutely exploded, of course. But this chart just shows the active addresses coming on to Solana is really grown in the last little bit. So something to hopefully show that there's interest coming back into the market. I think SpaceX's obviously the IPO really helped this, but you know, maybe we see an emergence of just on-chain trading coming back. I think GameFi again, and a narrative, as I mentioned before, will really help that. We do have an OG project coming on here in a moment. Chili's, if you guys remember, they have the official Spain token that is launching today for the World Cup. And so we're going to get the download on basically how that token is launching, what you get when you buy it, if there's any fan perks or whatnot around it, and then we'll go track it down and see if there's a trade to be had. But we have Gym at 12 noon, which is a really cool kind of game built on top of the Collector Crypt APIs, where you're actually like playing Pokemon, the Pokemon game, and then you're able to put at stake your own cards, your slabs, and then you can also win slabs. So we really like that model. I think that's a really interesting one. Hermes World with Outsource at 12:30, and then 1 p.m. with Tiny World. So a good little GameFi lineup today. And, you know, I think a narrative on Solana that's been there for years, but didn't work out the first time around. Not many iconic games are still around. So I think AI has definitely made that a lot more interesting. So nonetheless, we might hop into Chili's here in a moment. I'm just going to check the account. Let's see. Have they? Oh, yeah. Covering launch of Spain token. Let's go. If I go to search the ticker here, let's see. Let's see if they can find a contract address. Here's the official listing. Very cool. All right, already doing token burns. We'd like to see that. All right. We're going to jump into it. I'm very curious about this token because we have seen World Cup tokens. If you guys know, I've been calling World Cup at less than 2 mil, just about 2 mil, and it ran to 10 mil. It was a pretty great trade, as well as some of the country tokens. They did quite well, starting at like 50K to multi-hundred thousands. The problem with those tokens on Pump Fund is they were not official tokens, and they, you know, you could argue that there might have been some nefarious things going on there, but this is an official launch, and it's pretty exciting to see a burn rate. Obviously, there's more games. We're getting out of the group stage matches here for the World Cup. So there might be some trades here if Spain goes deep into the playoffs or into the tournament. Also curious to see if there's other country tokens that are coming, because that would be pretty cool. And it seems like there might be a little tokenomics here around, you know, potentially if they're winning games. So we'll keep an eye on this, but nonetheless, I'm going to go ahead and bring our guests up here and we're going to discuss this. Hey, welcome to the show. How do I pronounce your name?
L2. It's like an L2.
L2. Okay, perfectly. All right. Well, welcome to MCG. Congrats on the launch of this. This launched officially this morning. Is that correct?
Yes, today was the listing day for most of the exchanges. We did the FTO, we call it fan token offering, on Friday. But yeah, it's officially launched today. Indeed.
Great. I mean, before we jump in, Chili's is a project that's been around for quite some time. You guys were really the first to figure out fan tokens in a meaningful way, I would say. Can you maybe just talk about the founding of Chili's, what the platform does, and then maybe get into this current launch on Solana?
Yeah, of course. Chili's launched back in 2018. The roots of Chili's actually goes back to esports. Our founders decided to tokenize esports teams, but then we found a better niche in football tokenization, and we started launching fan tokens in 2019. That's when I joined the company as well. And the fan tokens of some of the biggest clubs like Juventus and Paris Saint-Germain, European-based mostly. And yeah, for the first 3-4 years, we were a very closed ecosystem. We were mainly focusing on onboarding the traditional organizations like historic clubs like Barcelona, Juventus, Manchester City, and Argentina. So it's really difficult to get them on board initially. They're quite expensive. They're very strict in terms of what we can talk about and how we can use them on chain. So it took us a while before we could become permissionless. So about 3 years ago, we turned our chain inside out, and from a permission chain, we became a permissionless one. And this year, we decided to become even more crazy in a way for the traditional clubs, to bridge into Solana and Base. And right now, I think Solana is the biggest trading volume for our fan tokens. For example, we did a competition on Jupiter a while back, on Meteora Jupiter, for the Champions League final of PSG and Arsenal. That was like our first dip in the water. So it's been great so far. It's some of our first launches, I must say.
Yeah, and so the tokens are listed both on centralized exchanges. I also see Meteor as well. Are you using Meteora's DBC or some other part of Meteora to launch the tokens? Are they launched within Meteora's ecosystem?
Not at the moment. So far, we've been launching on our own chain, Chili's, and then we've been using Layer 0 to bridge them onto Meteor, onto Solana, and then launch on Meteora. But we're definitely thinking about using DBC. That's one of our research topics right now, because we believe the FTOs of the past, they're like ICOs that back in the day, kind of outdated now, I must say. So we're thinking of doing it with the DBC nowadays. It's much more efficient in terms of liquidity management, market making. So yeah, definitely something of interest for us.
So FTO stands for fan token
offering.
Fan token offering. Okay, of course. Yes, I know. Should have. Okay, I'm trying to just find the token here on Dex Screener. So if someone's on Dex Screener and they go search and they search Spain, what's the best way for a trader to find the token address?
So I think we've had this little issue with the Solana launch for Spain today. But let me just quickly check for you. I've used Dex tools, by the way, for the Chili's chain one.
Okay.
For Solana, we would use very VRFD on Jupiter. That's our main, partner, I must say. But let me quickly check for that.
Yeah, and if you're able to, I don't know if you can share your screen and share the token page that you would like people to reference.
Yes, I can share.
That would be super helpful, just so everyone can kind of see and get an idea of.
Oops, I mean it's just we just started the liquidity pool today, just like a few minutes ago, as you can see. There has been a few, how can I say, technical difficulties to launch it today, but yeah, this is currently what it is, and it's verified, as you can see. We are VRFD. Yeah, the smart contract is right here. You can use it.
Okay, so right now it's trading at 200K, and yeah, I mean this is just, I mean these candles look whatever, but that's just because it's opening and that happens. Sometimes the data prints. But you said the contract address there is, what's the CA there? Just so the last letters.
Here.
Yeah, perfect.
So
okay.
Last letters. Okay.
Awesome.
M1QF.
And okay, so we have a trading show. I mean, people trade. There's kind of two things people do. People either trade the token straight up, or because we're sponsored by Meteor, we also do a lot of DLMM trading. And so normally what happens with these new launches is there's really good opportunities for providing liquidity because the token pops up, the volume comes in. So there's kind of a multi different ways of trading these. And I'm gonna.
So for DLMM, I must say, I was talking to a friend the other day. We are really focusing on how we can increase trading activity during match days. That's why we're doing most of our Meteora and Jupiter collaborations on match days specifically. So Spain, for example, you were seeing earlier the burn schedule. If Spain wins, we're going to be burning tokens, and that's what we did for the weekend. Spain won. And then we decided to burn some tokens before even the launch. So that's what we're going to keep on doing. And for DLMM, I think this is a big opportunity to basically farm fees during the times of the big matches. So if Spain goes to the second round, they play against a big team, and there's a potential that Spain will, win the game, hopefully. So yeah, we will be burning more tokens in that sense.
Okay, so that's what I actually kind of want to talk about. So how does the tokenomics here, it says you burn 250K tokens. So the total supply, maybe let's start with the total supply. What is the total supply of Bane tokens?
Total supply is 30 million.
Okay.
But currently there is around, I believe, around 1 million tokens in circulation. We did sell around 450K in the FTO. And we deployed liquidity on 4 different exchanges now. So Cayenne, Meteora, a couple of centralized exchanges right now. And yeah, so we burn basically 1% each time the club, so the team wins in a match, basically.
Okay, and so where does the money come from for burning 1%? Are you taking trading fees, or is it some other model where they're outstanding and they just get removed from supply? How does the burning actually work? Do you buy
It burns
back
from
the tokens?
treasury. It burns
Okay.
from the treasury. Yeah.
From the
So
treasury.
the tokens that we would be putting into circulation instead of we basically burn that.
Got it. Okay. So then walk me through what is this trade-off of? Obviously people are trading kind of, so one of my theses going into the World Cup, and we covered World Cup token on Pump that was launched on Pump. Again, no one knows who launched it. Kind of like a little bit dicey on, there was probably some farming happening there. It was an unofficial token. However, performed really well going into the World Cup. It went from, a few $100,000 to 10 million and generated a ton of volume. And then they had all these other team tokens that some of them did okay, some of them didn't. Now, those were kind of just trading off of whatever hype and anticipation of the World Cup. Since then, those tokens have not done well. But these are the official team tokens. Now, can you talk me through what does it mean to have an official team token that you're trading versus something other that's just a meme? And then my overarching thesis is that there's tens of billions of dollars being traded on prediction markets. It would make sense that some number of volume kind of come on chain and be traded in this way. Just wanted to maybe hear your thoughts about trading the official token.
Yeah, 100%. So the difference between an unofficial one and an official one is that the ones that we launched with the federation is obviously we sign a licensing model. We sign them based on a contract, and they give us some rights. For example, these rights are very focused on utility, and it's not just basically buying and selling the token. It's also when you buy the token, you get some rights in an app called socios.com, which is our consumer-facing app. So if you hold the token for longer, it earns you points, and these points you can use to purchase things like signed jerseys. You can attend matches as a VIP. You can also vote on decisions based on fan actions. So this would be, for example, for PSG, we did once selecting the captain's armband, or for example, for Juventus, we did select a goal song. So there is other benefits than just buying and selling the token, and these all come down back to the utility of the token. So yeah, there's that two-sided benefit of it.
Okay, so you can get your tokens, then you can stake them, you can vote on different things, trade them, redeem. I think we're all kind of know this, I guess, this market. Has some of those benefits been released here yet, or are they to come? Like,
Yes,
what
soon.
basically during the World Cup, what is going to happen during the World Cup? I guess specifically.
Specifically, is we're focusing mainly on trading and match volatility at the moment. We're focusing
Got it.
on how we can improve the performance of the tokens. But after the World Cup, because World Cup is a very FIFA focused, FIFA doesn't really allow marketing with their brand, and unless you pay them multi hundred millions, I
Yeah.
must say. So yeah, this mainly after the event, after the big tournament, we will be hosting things like attending a training session of the Spain national team. And actually, during the World Cup, we have some watch parties that we're going to be doing actually with Meteora team, hopefully in Spain. So that's one of the things that that we will be launching together. And also, yeah, so after the World Cup, we will be giving away some signed jerseys that people that hold the fan token of Spain, basically.
Got it. Okay, so if I click on the, I guess the token here, this is the Chili's token. Can you just talk about Chili's, the platform, real quick? What the token, the CHZ token, does? Because it has $200 million market cap. Can you just give us a high level overview of the core Chili's platform, the token? I don't know, metrics of how many users, how much volume guys have done, because you guys are a very large ecosystem.
Yes, I mean, we've been live since, like I mentioned, 2018. We have over 70 fan tokens right now. We launched all the official of the clubs, basically. And right now, we have a total of 130 million in fan token market cap. So that's the total market cap of the fan tokens we launched. And we did around 3 burns for the fan tokens so far, because this is a very new model that we're testing right now. We did it with Arsenal recently, and yeah, the 3 burns, I think we did around 450K of total burns for Arsenal, for example, and then today we added a 250 for the Spain one. But yeah, generally, I believe the tokens are listed in more than 10 different exchanges, each of them. We have 8 tokens on Binance. I think we have 10 tokens on OKX, BitGet, Maxi, maybe 20. So I think we are the only company probably in the world that has launched this many tokens, that manages this many brands and IPs. And I think we are lucky to be able to focus on the sports vertical of the ecosystem. To be honest, we did some things right and some things wrong. Obviously, it's a learning curve for all of us. But the fact that the team is focusing on becoming a bit more multi-chain, focusing on how we can give more permissionless entrance to the users to come into our platform and build with these tokens and trade these tokens based on market dynamics, match performances, and things like this. And on top of it, giving it some utility, I think it's a very important difference that we are trying to take within the whole ecosystem, because I don't see any other product that has this type of seasons. So our narrative never really ends. It's just season based. So right now it's end of the season for football. It's now World Cup. We have seven clubs that are basically competing in the world. I mean, not 7 actually. Italy didn't make it. So yeah, we have 5 or 6 teams that are competing in the World Cup right now, and you can see them right there. Burn Simulator, perfect. It's actually fairly new.
I like the burn simulator. burn it all. Burn it all.
Yeah. So yeah, that's the new narrative that we're trying to focus on, actually, because the world is changing, the crypto ecosystem is changing. We believe we need to adapt to differences, and that's how we are trying to change things in Chili's as well, basically. But yeah, as a token, Chili's works as a native gas token of the whole chain, and you are only able to participate in FTOs with Chili's token. So you cannot buy it with any other tokens. There is a governance of Chile. So there is actually 12 validators. One of them is OKX, for example. One of them is another like Anchor or Animoca Ventures, etc. So, and also PSG is another validator. So these validators people can stake onto, delegate their tokens, and earn around 15% right now, on top of their staked amount. So yeah, that's basically the general use case and the tokenomics of Chili's.
These are really cool. I mean, you go to these teams and you say, you know, what is one of these at a high level? What does one of these agreements look like? Like, you got Scotland, you got South Africa here, Spain, Argentina, and you go to them and you say, hey, like, is the business model that you guys take a share of the volume or whatnot, or you guys share the volume? Like, just trying to understand how these these tokens work, I guess, because they're not equity in the team, right? They're more just fan tokens. So I'm trying to define what a fan token is, and then who that buyer is. Who do you usually see buying these tokens specifically?
Yeah. So fan tokens are not stocks or equity at all. Definitely, that's what we're looking into as well nowadays. RWA, because that we see the big opportunity there, and we're currently raising some funds to put a percentage of buy a percentage of some clubs and
that would be really cool. Yeah.
That's one of the goals, future goals. The team is working on that. It's not easy, obviously, but we're working on it. We've achieved so many great things. Hopefully, that's going to happen as well. So it's not RWA at the moment, but it is sort of like a merchandise of a club, a digital asset of the club that is inside the balance sheet of the club that they are selling to their fans. So when we came out back in 2019 and 2020, 2021 was our like biggest run. That's when obviously COVID happened, as you might remember.
Yeah. And great. Bring back those days.
Yeah, I know, right? I miss those days too. Yeah, but yeah, for us, those days were actually the like golden age of fan tokens, because at the time the clubs could not really get fans into the stadiums, so they lost a lot of revenue. And the only revenue they had at the time was being able to launch digital assets and connect with their fans through digital means. And what do I mean by that is like 99% of, like currently still as well, 99% of the fans that are a fan of, for example, PSG or Arsenal or some of these biggest clubs are not living around the stadium. And in that sense, people try to connect with these clubs from far away. We had a lot of users from Korea. We have a lot of users from Turkey. We have a lot of users from Brazil, Italy that buy fan tokens of different clubs. So if you are a fan of one team, that doesn't mean you're not interested in other ones. And if you believe that other team is going to perform better, and if you believe that other team has more benefits that might make profit somehow for you, that it can be having a jersey as simple as, or going to a Champions League game as a VIP, and that's what they want to achieve and how they want to feel more close and more valued. That's what we see from the current buyer ecosystem, and how we try to reward them with more benefits, and including that with match day action. As you can see right now, we are trying to create new games for fan tokens. You are showing Squad Me Up right now. So this one actually gives fan tokens a bit of a different meaning, where they can put their club tokens in the squad, and it works as a player that would be potentially playing in that position, and it helps them earn points and potentially go up in ladder and earn some rewards in that sense.
Okay, very cool. And what kind of rewards do people earn? You mentioned, I think, physical merchandise. You could potentially get tickets, but do they earn tokens itself, or any sort of tokens that they can earn, whether it be CHZ or the fan token specifically?
So not from this game specifically, but we
Okay.
have a thing called fan token hunt. So token hunt, actually. So in the app, socios.com, users can it's like Pokemon Go. So you launch a map, and on the map you find some chests, and you can find some Chili's tokens or fan tokens and things like that. But with the squad me up, it's more based on points that help you earn merchandise and VIP experiences. Yes.
Got it. And have you guys ever thought about like getting into streaming? It would be really cool that if you bought a certain amount of fan token, you can watch the game, stream it. I mean, it's just something I've thought about, but
Yeah, I mean, it's a very big business. Not our business, but I think it is
yes.
something that could be explored for sure, because digital broadcasting has grown so much, and I believe there's a couple of companies that are currently exploring this angle. It's not exactly to allow them to watch the stream, but it's more like they would stream alongside the match, and the creator or the streamer at that point does trading on chart based on the game performance, and the viewers trading volume would generate revenue for the streamer that is trading and streaming the chart basically, but watching the game at the same time. And yeah, so that's a very interesting angle, because the broadcasting rights can be really expensive, so
Yeah.
it would be difficult. But maybe text-based explanation of the game with some heat maps and 2D visualization of positions and things like this could be very interesting for that model.
Yeah. That is interesting. I like the streaming, like the streamer angle. I think that's really cool. And I don't know if Speed or any of those big streamers, like maybe talk about that. Like Speed is he's a big Ronaldo fan. I don't know if he'll be I'm not a big soccer guy, but or football, sorry. I'm not a big football guy. But I don't know if Ronaldo, he's like onto the World Cup thing. But I mean, like, you got a streamer like that who buys one of these tokens, and all of a sudden everyone's gonna want one, right? I mean, maybe talk about that. How do you attract those streamers to either acquire the token or talk about it to get kind of it out there in the popular culture, let's say?
It's a very good point, and this is something that we've been working on. It's not easy for sure, because again, these guys, they tend to be very, very expensive, and so what we're trying to do right now is build a product and go to market with the clubs or the teams itself. So in that case, Spain posting about their fan token on their social media, or Portugal posting about their fan token on social media, is our main go-to-market strategy in that sense, to reach those fans directly from the teams itself. And also we work with a lot of exchanges, and also we work with small streamers that are going to be trading these tokens live soon as well. They're going to be doing it on Solana with Meteora pools. I think this is going to be happening for Spain very soon. And then we will be doing it on Jupiter, and there will be 4 streamers that will be competing on a trading competition. And they're just starting, hopefully in the next couple of weeks, that we're targeting the later stages of the cup basically.
Wow. Okay. Definitely let us know when that's happening. I would love to cover some of that. I think some people would like to either watch it or trade alongside. I know I looked at the DLIM pools that you have open here. I mean, there's like 200K of liquidity in there. So there's already some serious liquidity in the Meteora pool. And I'm sure other pools will get spun up as volume comes in. 1 minute here, and then we'll let you go. Any other thoughts that we haven't covered here from this conversation? I think this was a really good introduction. And again, I mean, the point of this is get it on the radar of our audience, and so that they can go play tokens. But in the next minute here, just leave the fans with something. What do you want people to take away from the Spain launch today?
Yeah, so I think the best thing the people who are watching can do, if they are doing the DLMM liquidity pools, adding stuff there. I think the biggest opportunity is there during the biggest matches, during the competition that we're going to be doing. In that sense, we're looking for the LP army potentially to join us, and yeah, and we're going to be doing a watch party in Madrid. So if anyone is in Madrid, I think it's going to be early July. So we're expecting them together with the LP army and the actually Solana La Familia super team. Yeah, so three of us will be there. 3 teams will be there as a communities and watch the game together. Hopefully, trade the games together. So yeah, that's all I can say for now. And thank you for inviting us to the stream. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, no, thanks to our friends at Meteor for making this connection. I've seen Chili's for years, and I've always been really interested in this fan token angle. To be part of the Spain official launch is really cool. So we definitely appreciate that. What is your favorite team in the World Cup?
I live in Netherlands. I mean, I'm Turkish originally, and we got knocked out like second game, very very terribly. But yeah, I live in Netherlands, so I support Netherlands now. And yeah, my wife and my kids are all Dutch, so I have to go for the oranges.
All right, orange. I love it. Well, good luck to you guys. How have they done so far?
They've been pretty good. First game draw, second game big win. So yeah,
Okay.
I think they're gonna qualify for the next round. It seems. Yeah.
I'm Canadian, so Canada, we drawed our first, and then we absolutely smashed Qatar like 6-0.
I used to live in Canada as well, actually.
Oh, really? Amazing. I love it. Well, it was really good to chat with you, and we'll keep an eye on this, and maybe after all this is said and done, the World Cup's done, we'll have you back on to kind of debrief next steps. But yes, take care.
Sounds good. Thank you, my friend. Bye.
All right, that's Altu from Chili's. Guys, go check out those tokens. They're very interesting. We've seen the World Cup fan tokens get some interest. Again, my thesis around it was that you're going to see a lot of volume on prediction markets, and there might be some number of that volume that trades the kind of fan/meme token equivalent. I got to dig into the Spain token. Again, it launched literally less than an hour ago, so there's a lot of kind of things that I'm not certain about, but the token on Solana has an FDV of 200K, and it has 223K of liquidity in the Meteor DLIM pool. So I don't know. I need to really dive into this, because if it is at 200K and it's an official launch on Chili's of the Spanish national team, I mean, that might be something to look at. So yeah, we have 2 minutes here before the next one. Dom.
Gentlemen, what's up? Josh, how was the weekend, man? Happy Father's Day.
Thank you. The weekend was good. I'm not gonna lie, won 2 softball games and had a good time with my kids.
Dude.
So
You're an animal.
Animal.
Love to see it. Just getting out there, athletic abilities, love it.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude. I'm excited for today. Sorry I was late, guys. Last weekend you guys saw my electricity went out because we had a pretty bad storm when a breaker box blew up, and my stream just got completely messed up. So I was trying to figure out my lighting and stuff. But we're back now. We got an exciting
I'm now that I think about it, I mean, you guys are susceptible in November to hurricane season, aren't you?
Oh, dude, it's been raining bad every single day. It's rained basically the last week. So it's been weird, but brutal indeed. But we're good today. Not wet out. Yeah. So, but Josh, that was a good first conversation. I guess I kind of heard your takeaways already, but yeah, seems pretty cool. The most interesting part to me, I think, was he said he wants to buy some leagues. They're raising some money, potentially buying fractional shares of leagues. That would be insane.
That would be insane. I'm trying to get a wrap around here on the market cap of these tokens, because it says 200K on the Meteor pool here, which is really surprising me here. But I'm doing a little DD, guys, so give me a second. Do you want to tee up our next conversation here? I'm just going to DD this
sure,
really quick. Because if there's a DLIM to be had, I want to be the first to
get
show
some action.
So, yeah, well. Let's see.
I got you. All right, guys. Our next conversation is going to be with Gym Showdown. We got the squad coming on. They've recently emerged in the GameFi season. Now, this came at a perfect time because we saw the cards meta blow up with collector crypt. Now we're seeing the GameFi meta kind of take shape, and they're like right at the middle, kind of right at the convergence of the two. And this caught my attention because they did something very, very interesting, right? I mean, we're used to our typical GameFi and like our tokenomics, Ponzi-nomics mechanisms where you have an in-game economy. And I've always been of the belief that GameFi is going to be a great way to prove cryptocurrency as a whole, just financializing an in-game economy, having tradable assets in game, purchasing with a native token, all that good stuff. I got burned a couple of years back when I really tried to get on board this narrative, but it's again kind of taking shape recently with Cantera that launched on Pump Fun, which has gone to, I think, 20 million plus since gone on a bit of a pullback. But of course, looking between the convergence, you got Collector Crypt on one side, Cantera on the other side, and then you got Gym Showdown in the middle, which is doing something really interesting, right? They've gamified Pokemon card collecting. So they actually built on top of Collector Crypt's white labeled product. And what they do now, you can go and play their game, find Pokemon, trade, battle, all that good stuff that you like to do in the, in the Pokemon games, gamifying it. And actually you get to keep these RWA physical collectibles that you win in game, right? Or you could lose them depending on how well you play, right? So I think that's really interesting. And not only is it interesting for Pokemon cards because they're a massive, they've got so much hype and excitement right now, but it's also interesting for like the idea of in-game economies as a whole. Man, imagine playing a game and I can collect, trade, buy, sell anything inside the game and then be able to physically redeem that in real life. So it starts with Pokemon cards, but I think the vision goes far beyond that. So I'm going to pull up the Gym Showdown team and get the full breakdown from them because I do think it's a fascinating concept. And let's just understand the full model here. Without further ado, Gym Showdown coming on stage. Welcome. Can you hear me? Mr. Gym Showdown.
Might need to
catch him?
Check your throw a Pokeball.
I gotta throw a Pokeball at him.
Hey.
Oh, there he is. Gym Showdown. Mr. Jim, I'll call you for now. How are we doing?
Good. How are you guys? Pleasure to be on the show. Thank you for having me.
We're excited to have you. The Collector Crypt guys held you in high regards. I asked for a connection. I can't remember how we got in contact, but if it was them, shout out. I think it was. So shout out to Collector Crypt guys for connecting us. But yeah, this is really cool, man. I saw this. Josh and I actually notoriously did a nice little breakdown here last week at 900K. Kind of went through the game. I played a little bit. We understood the concept, and it was like super compelling. I think once it clicks for a lot of people because you guys have done something truly unique, right? The idea that I can go and play this game and win real life redeemable Pokemon cards that are stored on Collector Crypt, graded on Collector Crypt, and I can have these slabs and own them, get them shipped to my doorstep within minutes of actually winning them in game was a completely new concept. And once it clicked for me, I was like, okay, this is what like the future of crypto and gaming could really look like. Maybe help us kind of understand your vision here, but I want to start at the top. Can you give us an introduction about yourself, how long you've been creating games, collecting Pokemon cards, where your background kind of lies?
Yeah, no worries. Yeah, so I'm going to stay anonymous for this podcast. I'd just rather speak a little bit more about the product than my name. I think my CV doesn't really, I'd rather people look at the product rather than like my CV. But what I could say is that I've been in crypto for about 5 years now or so. I've seen the whole, let's say, industry take shape. I grew up around Pokemon cards, and I just saw, like, let's say, a really niche intersection. I grew up but played Collector Crypt about 2 years ago before the whole Metaplex launch.
Wow.
And I thought it was a really, really interesting product, right? I mean, this idea that you get something physically redeemable, but also the whole mechanism behind it, right? I mean, there's no product kind of like it. I mean, I wasn't enthusiast about Pokemon, but I kind of liked the idea that you could spin a gacha machine and get this random collectible, right? And I started going onto these loot boxes online and looking at CSGO skins and stuff. And I got really, really interested in the whole process. And then, like about, let's say 2 months ago, I had a mouth surgery. So maybe that's why I'm talking a little bit weird now. And I stood at home and I was like thinking about to myself, I mean, like, there's something more that you can do with these underlying cards, right? Most people, I mean, I sat with 60 or so in my wallet at a point, just blatantly sitting there, right? Not earning yield or no real utility. And then I kind of wanted to bulk ship, and shipping them was quite expensive. So I kind of thought like there's some utility that you can kind of add towards this narrative, right? And then and it just happened to be Collector Crypt blew up at the time, which got us a lot of more volume and traction. But I kind of like this just intersection that you could play a game for these actual cards, right? And users can deposit them or give a little bit more of a game feeling around the actual underlying Pokemon cards that are on chain. So that's what we tried to build, and hopefully we were successful. I mean, we have a decent amount of players who enjoy the product. A lot of PvP modes, also against AI. But yeah, that's essentially where we kind of started the roots from.
Yeah, you mentioned your background has been in crypto for 5 years. You were into, CS:GO and some of the games there, obviously very popular ones that has a big collecting culture. Maybe walk me through your thinking here. Obviously, you were on the right track being able to collect these physical products, but how far does this get, right? Like we started Pokemon now. What's maybe your vision of GameFi and like the convergence of RWA as we maybe hopefully move into this future?
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, like, I think Pokemon cards are like the really interesting aspect here because these are something that, I mean, you go around to 1 in every 5 people. I mean, maybe 1 in every 2 people knows what Pokemon cards are, right? Like, you go to a random guy in
Right.
China and he would say he knows what Pokemon cards are. It's the same in the US. And I don't think there's something with that much staying power with like an average human, right? You can talk about CSGO skins, or you can talk about pudgy penguins, or whatever sort of collectible you want to discuss, but none are as common or a household name as Pokemon cards. I mean, maybe you could also argue One Piece to a certain extent. But One Piece, I mean, Pokemon cards are just the name that everyone knows. And I really like that aspect, right? I've been to a lot of these sort of conventions where I live, or trading conferences where people go around and they have the slabs or trading the physical paper cards. And every time I go, they just get busier and busier and busier, right? And you have an age group that's so diverse, right? You have a 6-year-old guy walking around, and right next to him is a 14-year-old kid, all collecting the same cards. So for me, like, it just really clicked in my head when I saw this. Like, this is just a product which everyone loves and like likes to collect. I think you could see sort of like a development, right? Like sporting cards or One Piece cards have some more of like a staying power, but it's also hard to justify this sort of valuation for these cards without like the actual underlying demand staying. And I think that's harder to justify than with Pokemon cards, in my view, at least.
Yeah, well, I mean, so you explained to us, I think we kind of understand it, but you walk by someone in the street, you said, 1 in 2 people knows what Pokemon cards is. You know what? That even might be undershooting, to be honest. Like, I don't know if I've met
Yeah.
anyone that doesn't know what Pokemon
Yeah.
is,
I
right?
mean,
Yeah.
you've lived under a rock for the last
Yeah,
2
right.
decades, right? So
Unless
actually
you're like
looked it
an
up.
indigenous tribe in Africa or something, I think,
Yeah.
you have a good idea.
I looked it up, actually. I think one of the most asked questions, like behind what's your favorite color, is what's your favorite Pokemon, right? People will say Pikachu or Charizard. I mean, it's like an insane stat, right? And I just think it's nuts.
No, that's it's super nuts. So maybe if you had to walk into someone in the streets, they know what Pokemon is, and I don't know, maybe they're at a convention or something. What's your one-line pitch on Gym Showdown? Like, how do you explain this to somebody that's maybe unfamiliar with
Yeah, that's a good
crypto
question.
and all this stuff as a whole? I guess just like generally.
Yeah, so I think what we've done, and like, look, I also understand the product's not for everyone, right? There's a huge percentage of these people who are buying, $5 Pokemon cards to add to their book, but they're not really interested in this more gamify or like gambling aspect that we've incorporated, right? And I understand that. So we're more targeted towards like a niche group of people, and that's predominantly crypto, just based on our risk tolerance that's been developed over the past 2 to 3 years with the Solana cycles that's been going on. But I think the selling point that we have is that we're pretty much bringing like the OG Pokemon game. I mean, we're changing a lot of different aspects, adding different games, but you can essentially kind of relive your childhood of Pokemon by playing on chain for real cards, right? So no longer are you playing for a digital version and grinding for 3 or 4 hours to play a game where you can win a collectible, but it's just stored within the game and you don't really receive anything physical or any monetary value. But here we kind of change that, right? Yeah, and that's kind of like in essence.
Do you have any of the numbers recently? I mean, I saw some from a post over here, right? $305,000 in real collector card Pokemon cards paid out to players in 17 days. I mean, the growth has been pretty incredible recently. Of course, you launched a little while ago. It took some time to gain traction, but I think it's really blown up in the last couple of weeks. Could you maybe talk me through, when you guys launched, why you guys launched the token, just kind of the origin stories here?
Yeah. So I probably worked with my team for about 2 weeks, 3 weeks before the product actually went live. I mean, I think most things now you're seeing this huge pickup in vibe coded projects, which ours has a lot of work from our favorite LLM Anthropic or Claude. But yeah, what really takes it to like move it to the next level is you really need to harden all this backside stuff, right? So a lot of work was kind of put in. If you simply vibe code a website, you could probably copy us in about a week or something. But to make sure all the back end mechanics work between paying out a 1v1 battle or a slab arena or your daily orbs, I mean, there's so many transactions that flow through the wallet. It's really hard to manage. So we worked a really, really long time to harden that side. Yeah, and we've just kind of picked up in traction. So I think what kind of is your largest hinder is we had this long debate whether to launch a token or not, or just kind of keep the product as it was and just kind of leave it for a platform to people to use. But unfortunately, like, I mean, it comes down to it. I think a large part of the users enjoy the like they get the marketing is the token, right? Like the token does all the marketing for us in a sense, right?
Sure.
Because that's what most people trade. And I think it worked for the same for Collector Crypt, right? I don't think they would be at the same volumes they're doing now if they didn't have a token, just because people like to trade the token, they learn about the name, and then they eventually start playing the game. So that was really the rationale for us to launch a token. And I mean, we also are really going to start supporting the token. I already have, but I'll mention some things down the line later in the interview. But yeah, the numbers have been crazy. So I think I just pulled recent numbers just before this podcast. We've done around over $400,000 in cards paid out at this point.
Wow.
We have about 1,500 people who have played the game. 200 are actually winning. I think these are pretty good numbers. We've had about over 8,000 battles played. Pretty good revenue, which just kind of feeds back into the token as well. Yeah, I think it's just like a starting point, right?
What's revenue wise? Do you have a number that you can share on that?
Yeah, I mean, it's a bit messy because currently we don't pay ourselves, and we're just kind of feeding all the revenue back into the getting.
Yeah,
the Pokemon
I mean,
cards.
Collector Crypt, same situation. Their number that they publish is based on the volume that's going through the gotcha mechanic. Now they take like a 4 or 5% of that, so it's a small kind of margin there. But they would say our revenue is like 20 million a week, which is just the volume on their platform. Do you have a similar metric that you use to measure?
Yeah,
like
so
if you're to estimate the volumes.
I can give you a live number. So like just the gross entry fees that we've got only from one line. So that's our 1v1 battles is about $43,000.
Wow.
But that doesn't consider the cards that were distributed. And then that's like a coin flip, right? So you can pretty much consider half of that as pure revenue. To be honest, like we've just injected pretty much to buying back all these cards, but I would say like on a gross or like a net basis, we probably make about 1 to 2K per day.
Wow, that's pretty impressive.
Revenue.
Very impressive actually for the early days here. Can you maybe talk to me about that scale then? I mean, you guys are starting to make revenue. You said you're not taking a salary at the moment. Lots of it's just going back to growing the inventory. This is a big thing in Collector Crypt right now that we're seeing. How do you scale this, right? Are you going on Collector Crypt's marketplace and like sniping undervalued tokens based on some sort of pricing index? How do you guys scale? And of course, you mentioned the token being a very good way to bootstrap, initial attention. And I think that is true, right? If collector cards didn't have a token, they probably would have a lot less attention right now. I mean, everyone talks about the token every single day on my timeline. It's all I see.
Yeah.
So I do think the token is a very strong distribution engine. So in your mind, when you think about the token and everything it kind of encompasses, not only does it encompass distribution, but it also gives you guys fees. How do those tie into the game? Do a portion of the fees go back to growing that inventory and scaling? Can you maybe just talk me through like the entire mechanism of the token?
Yeah. So right now, I mean, like our operating costs are quite high. Just giving like running all this. I mean, you have the game right in front of you, right? So like you're running a huge map. You have at some points 25 players online at the same time, which are all pretty high server costs. So I think our net fees that our monthly run rate on just keeping it alive, plus paying team members and whatnot, is about 7.5 to 8K a month. And this is exponentially has gone up since we've got more players. You're also, when you pay every player out, you have to fund the account. So we've probably paid over 50 SOL or something in just funding all the metadata transfers. So it's not cheap to run this sort of stuff. We are just kind of stacking. So, I mean, we have a collector crypt bot running. Once the inventory gets a little bit low, we automatically start sniping tokens. I have like some preferences. Like I wanted to stay away from this for a while until the game just got so big that when I would go to bed, half the treasury would be gone overnight. So I created a bot which is kind of like on a certain preference. Like I like vintage cards, so that's what I like to stack the treasury with. So I'll try to snipe vintage cards or cards that are underinsured value, and I'll just kind of run a bot here. We're also kind of building, I'll tease it a little bit, but we're starting to build inventory for another ecosystem of cards. I mean, I think if you look around, it's pretty obvious which one it will be, but we're starting to build an inventory there. So a lot of the also revenue is flowing in to start building a treasury, just so we have enough cards for when the game goes live. Yeah, I don't know. Sorry, I think I missed something.
No, that's perfect. I guess like the question was largely predicated around how do we scale this thing? Because it seems like you have user base coming in. I guess it all also depends on, can we have the best inventory? Can we attract users? So I think you pretty much answered that question on the head, just acquiring more inventory.
Yeah, can I just get a question on the strategy of like going after different ecosystems? Like, do you see yourself as a platform, or is this just going to be Jim the game, or do you think there'll be like Yu-Gi-Oh the game and that has its own kind of ecosystem? Will it have a same token or a separate token? Like, how do you guys think about that?
Yeah, so I mean, I think when we look at it from like a third perspective and we have like our team meetings, we really look to be like the infrastructure behind the whole GameFi for like, let's say the TCG community. And that kind of encompasses all on-chain collectibles. I mean, Pokemon, in my view, is just the biggest, right? So that's like was our first starting point. I think also getting cards or just getting the vaults stacked up was pretty easy. I mean, the other ecosystems that we've been targeting, it's much harder to get cards and just kind of scale that. But yeah, we eventually, our kind of long essence plan is to kind of scale this to as many communities, right? And we just kind of build this underlying GameFi infrastructure. And, we have a lot of these kind of gacha similar where there's like a slight house edge, and that's where our revenue comes from. But really our most popular games have been player versus player. And I think that's more like, we don't take a cut on that. We just give that to our players so they can really enjoy it. They pay a little bit for fees, but let's say you, Josh, want to fight against Dom, and Dom has a $50 Charizard, you have a $50 Charizard. We essentially escrow both those cards. You can do like a little rock, paper, scissors sort of battle for these cards, which we pushed out over the weekend. And you have like a little skill base and you can win the other person's card, right? Or it's just purely value based. And I think those have been like our biggest successful gameplays that we've incorporated. And I think that'll also gain a lot of traction with other cards down, right? So
I just shoved Dom into the locker and then punch him once and then take a card. I don't go through no PvP.
Yeah.
That's what he does when he's asleep dreaming. And then reality is much different. No, that's really. Can you actually maybe touch a little bit more on the game modes? So you have these PvP game modes. I know if you go in the game, you can buy orbs to collect the cards that walk around. Can you just talk me through some of the game modes? And I think that'll also touch on some of the revenue models you guys have.
Yeah. So probably our most successful, or like let's say our baseline is just definitely the 1v1. So the rationale kind of behind it was, you go into a gacha, right? You spend $50 on a gacha, you can get a $35 card, right? Or you can also get a $100 card, right? But it's kind of like a guessing game, right? And I kind of like the aspect that you could always have a positive EV, but you need to add some sort of chance factor in there. So our 1v1 battles are like, you pretty much load in, we have an entry of $25, and you play a battle, right? A Pokemon battle. Like let's say you can choose a Charizard, or you can choose a Pikachu, or whatever card you want. The AI or another player will also choose another Pokemon. And then whoever wins the battle, which is not skill-based, just coin flip, 50-50 odds, will get a card that's always positive EV, right? So you're always going to get a card. I think the EV right now is about 43 or 47 for that. So you will always get a card that's worth more than your entry. And I kind of like that aspect of it, because it's either win it all or lose, or like lose your total initial. So was our original baseline. And then we kind of expanded into this GameFi thing. And that's pretty much, you have this open world that you can walk around. You walk through the grass, you throw orbs so that you can walk around, and then you can, Pokemon appears when you walk through the grass. You can buy orbs like that are on the screen now. And these orbs will have different odds at catching the Pokemon based on its insured value, or the slab, I should say. And then you can kind of throw these orbs, and if you catch it, you win the actual slab. It gets sent to your wallet, and you can just buy these orbs with Soul. And you can look around. Some people like to find these grails. So like, people are really attracted to buy what we have actually in the treasury. So they'll look for these like $70 or $700 cards or something, and they'll buy a bunch of orbs and try to catch these slabs. And if they win, the card gets sent to their wallet. So we had one guy who won, I think, over a 1K slab, like a really nice meow too. And that's probably our overall made one. We also added like a more battle sense. So like in the slab arena here, you can walk in, and then you can put up an insured value or teams of 3 slabs up at once. And then some guy can accept your duel. And then, so let's say the insured value of all 3 cards makes up for about $100, and his make up for 80. The odds will be appropriate in that sense. So he would have like a 40% chance, you would have a 60% chance. And if he wins with that 40% chance, he wins your 3 slabs. So it's just pure PvP basis, and there's been a lot of traction there. And then this new last one we put in over the weekend is a stake arena. So it's also PvP, but it's more skill-based. So you can block, you can attack, you can charge, and you have like some sort of like rock, paper, scissors mechanism into the game mode. Yeah, this is it right here.
You're like totally disrupting e-commerce here. Like eBay's got to be looking at this and thinking, holy crap, this is like a way better way to then just looking at a wall of cataloged cards and be like, oh, I'm going to buy that one, or, oh, I'm going to trade that one. This is like literally like playing, if anyone remembers, Don might be too young to remember, but there was like on N64, there was Pokemon Arena, or like whatever, the Pokemon gym. Like you could actually play for the first time the game in 3D. And it was like this huge like experience. There was like Pokemon Snap too, which you like go around, take pictures. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. Anyways, I'm just getting nostalgia.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Now we worked really hard to build this, and it's really nice to actually see players come in, right? So
yeah,
like me, a big attraction that I had here was like, okay, I have 60 cards. In actuality, after sitting on them for a week, I got most of them from a gacha. 20 of them I don't really want. I could go through the hassle of listing them back on Collect a Crypt, or I could just log in here and try to play against a guy who has another card that I kind of want. And then so now you kind of like bring a lot more utility to these cards that are just sitting in your wallet, and you can kind of fish for something better if that's
your so do you like see what Granny May has on the screen there? Can walk up to them and try and like PvP them for that card?
Sorry, yeah, you can walk up there. I don't think we have a video live of it. I can post one later in the days. I think the only, it's hard to get like an actual...
Here's what I'm trying to understand is if another player has a card that I want, can I see the card in their, let's say, quote unquote wallet? And then B, can I then try and, get them to battle me to try and win it? Like, yeah, on this screenshot, can you see what the other players own if you go up?
Yeah, that's actually a pretty good update that we should probably put out in the future, right? To see other people's inventory. I think that's pretty cool. But most people, they know the slabs they have, right? So you'll see in the chat, like there's a big guy that we have called Weed'em Boys. And then you'll see people come in like, yo, Meed'em Boys, I want that Pikachu, And then they'll start messaging him in our chat for it. And then he'll go in the slab arena, put it back up, and people can fight him for it. So our community is like, we have like 15, 20, 25 active players who play every day, who all kind of like know each other a little bit in the chat. And we'll say, yeah, I want that Charizard back. And they'll just send it in the chat, and then we'll go back in and fight for it. So it's really cool to see, to be honest.
So this kind of seems a bit of your go-to-market strategy. And that was like the next thing I asked, because this is a multifaceted approach here. And from my experience with collecting these cards too, and friends that have really gotten into it recently is, they get the cards, it's plus EV, but then they lose a lot selling it back, or, they can't really decide if they want to get it shipped to their house and they have to spend all this money. And so the in-between action of, hey, maybe there is a card I like out there and I could just battle someone for it, and I'm willing to put this one at risk and go kind of like play a game to earn another card. Like, that's an interesting go-to-market strategy. I want you to talk me through, I guess, your idea of the GTM here. Who's the player base you're really trying to target and attract? Is it the whales in Collector Crypt? Is it the whales on Breezy? Is it the whales on these TCG platforms? Is it your everyday person? And what does that go-to-market strategy look like? How are you evangelizing to these people? Is it, look, I know you have this card in your inventory. You don't really love it. Maybe you want to trade up for something or battle someone for a better card. Come do it on our platform. Maybe walk me through, I guess, your entire strategy there.
Yeah, so I think our go to market or product market fit in this case has just definitely been attracting these users who are pretty big in collectibles, right? So if you have like this nostalgia aspect, or you want to add utility, or have like a more gamified experience of winning these cards rather than just spinning a gotcha machine, or you're on the hunt for something more special, you can run around through the fields and look for this underlying card. Also, whales are more than happy to come onto the platform, right? We've seen like one guy battle for like 2.5K worth of cards. I know this is probably different than the whales that Collector Crypt has, where these guys are spinning the $1,000 gotcha machine or $2,500 gotcha machine 150 times every hour. I think those players are a little bit harder to get at the current moment. I think they just are looking for these $35,000 cards or something, which, if two players both have these sort of card values and they want to battle, like, we're more than happy to facilitate that, but we just haven't really seen a demand for that yet. But a lot of these players just kind of like this more incumbent feeling of grinding. So there's like an XP sort of system. They have like this sense of community. They're on the hunt for, trading their cards up to a better card, which is totally possible. And this these PvP arenas are, there's zero house edge, right? It's just you against the other guy. We do take a slight house edge for the other game modes, which is, I think, standard practice in this industry, just to cover cost. Also, part of the revenues fed back into the token, which is just a buyback and burn mechanism. I think a lot of players are just here for like the gamified experience of it, right? That they can just kind of contribute to something with like other players online and battling together and doing these like legendary battles. I think that's a big selling point that we have.
Yeah, I mean, how you kind of scale this thing is like A, having a really great game, B, having a really great token, and then C, of course, finding the right audience. When we look at crypto games of the past, obviously it's been like a sector that's generally failed as a whole. And either it's because the game's just not fun, A, or B, the token life cycle just dies, right? Over time, the token dies, kind of bringing attention down with it. Maybe talk me through how you guys aim to go beyond the token lifestyle, make this token valuable, number one, and A, have a really fun game to play along with it. How do you kind of break out of this typical crypto gaming life cycle that we've seen happen so many times in the past?
Yeah, I think when you look at like the typical gaming ecosystem, or like, let's say, life cycle, it's mainly you have like a very differing approach between who's actually invested in the token, who's actually playing it, right? I would say like predominantly like maybe 80% of our players hold like their $50 worth of gym tokens, just so they get those free orbs. But predominantly the players of the game don't actually hold the underlying token, right? Which I think is quite interesting, right? You have traders who own the token, who are betting on the future of the project and betting on an increase of users, but they're not the ones actually playing the game, right? So I think these players who actually just get a nice vault, right? They can choose these interesting cards. They have a nice community of players who are actually playing with them. And they kind of see like continuous progress, like updates. They enjoy the gaming experience. They're more inclined to stay, even if the token price goes down, right? And I think that these are two confounding factors. I think if token price is just down only, right, people will eventually leave, volume will start to dry up, and that's definitely a risk, right? But a lot of these players, like, whether token price goes up a bunch or down a bunch, they're here to stay for a while, right? And we've seen that. We've had some players who have been playing on our platform since 100K, and we've been up to almost 3 million in market cap, and they've just kept playing, right? Which I think is really interesting to see.
I want to speed run a few questions. Oh, yeah, sorry. Continue with that thought.
Too much. No.
I do want to speed run a few questions because we're pretty much at time here. But I got to ask a few things. One, I guess, question that came up, and this was like, I think the biggest pushback I saw on Gym Showdown was the copyright question. What if Pokemon wants to go after you guys? What if, if One Piece comes down the road? What if One Piece wants to go after you guys? Ideally, you're creating this layer of all these games that people know and love, but you have to kind of skirt around copyright laws. Have you guys thought about that at all, or how that plays into?
It's been a big concern. I mean, not a huge concern for us. I think majority, right, is like to bootstrap it. We did use some of the concepts that everyone knows, right? You look at our some of like the battles, right? You look at Pokemon just to like kind of get these initial users in. But looking at pretty much everything, right? We're not copying Pokemon game one for one, right? Our whole world is completely different. We don't even have, I mean, We have orbs instead of Pokeballs, right? The names are all different, and it's something we've been conscious about, and we'll just continue to move away from, right? Also, when looking at the One Piece world, that it's pretty much made at this point. I'm just adding some final adjustments. I'm not going to launch it yet, but probably around later in the week. But also, like, there's zero copyright there, right? I mean, when you look at the battles, it's just you're just playing for the underlying slab, which is just a physical photo of a slab, right? So there's very, very minimal copyright, and it'll all be reduced to pretty much zero within the next week or two.
Can I ask real quick about this One Piece game? Obviously, you look at the current game you have with Gym Showdown and Pokemon, and it's like this pixelated kind of style game. I think that fits the Pokemon narrative very well. When you think about creating games as you expand to like One Piece and other games, is it going to follow the same kind of pixelated style, or is this going to be a more are the game modes going to differ in a lot of different ways?
Yeah, so that's kind of like the hard thing to really get, because you're pretty much recreating everything we've built, and then you're trying to do it at scale to like handle the same throughput in a short amount of time. So it is quite a difficult task, to be honest with you. But the whole world will change. We're not just like, what I've really taken the approach right with is like, we've never paid a KOL. We've never done, any of these paid marketing deals. We've really just tried to ship the best product, right? We've just put in the hours building the best product that we could be. And that's kind of what led us to become like this leader in, like, let's say, TCG beta tokens. And that's what we're going to continue doing, especially for the One Piece side. So I don't think you're going to get there by just copycatting what we've already built for the Pokemon side and just slapping, let's say, One Piece cards into it. So we're remaking the entire map, fitting the entire theme to One Piece, making all the game modes more One Piece themed. The whole shebang. So going to be a lot of work, starting to wrap it up slowly but surely, but yeah, it's been a lot of work so far.
Okay, 2 or 3 more questions before we have to go, but maybe talk to me about this token, how it plays into it. I heard you mention some buybacks, but maybe generally give me an idea of where the token plays a role into the ecosystem, economy, all that good stuff.
Yeah, so I think more and more will be announced as time goes on. We want to add in a lot more features that kind of incorporate people to actually hold the underlying token, but along with like benefits that you have in game. So currently, right now, about 3 to 5% of all revenue generated just goes to buying back the token and burning. I think, when we were at all-time highs, we kind of had this decision with the team, right? And like, how do we kind of continue this growth phase? So we actually decided to burn about 3% of supply that we had in the wallet, just to kind of give a signal that like, hey, look, like we're not here for the short term, right? And we burned about $50,000 worth of tokens in just one transaction. So pretty hard feeling to click that button, but it was worth it. Yeah, and like, I think it just plays a role, right? So we've started to add it into our trading post, and all transactions between P2P players happens in gym tokens. So we all need to hold gym tokens to buy the underlying cards. Right now, we're staying a little bit away from making all the orb transactions, because we don't want to add any sell pressure to the token yet. And we will never add sell pressure, but there's some features that are going to be launching, especially on the vaulting side, to make it more permissionless for every user to stake their underlying card and add to the vault. So those features will come a little bit later in the week, and this will all be handled in gym, and that's just going to be burned immediately. But yeah, we're also pretty aware of like all these new metas going on, like Pump Fund, Hyperliquid, about how they've kind of designed the tokenomics, and we're just kind of following suit there.
Well, I mean, even on the Hyperliquid style tokenomics, we see they're doing 98% buybacks a day. Now, if you look on the other side, Collector Crypt, a close, I guess, partner, you could even say of yours, they have decided really to not do buybacks and just grow that inventory, right? On one hand, if all the users that own the tokens also own the IP to the company, growing the inventory also grows their share of the pie, right?
Yeah.
Do you guys think, potentially growing inventory is more worthwhile than buying back and burning tokens for the time being, or
100%.
Are you guys just committed to buying? Yeah. Okay. Maybe walk me through that. And we got to make this quick, unfortunately.
Yeah. So I'll try to keep it short, but we are pretty much looking at like an early stage growth company, right? We're trading at a valuation of a pre-seed seed company, right? We should not be injecting 98% of our revenue into burning back the token. That's just stupid, if you ask me, right? You should be keeping a lot of this revenue and buying back and just making your game better, right? That means expanding the team, increasing the capabilities that we can do, like increasing the infrastructure, the platform, et cetera, and also growing inventory. And then we'll continue to do that. But I think it's also pretty important to signal to our community and all token holders that there is an interest in the token, right? And that there will be, at some later stage, once everything takes off, just this mechanism where this revenue gets distributed back. And
love it. Love it. Makes a ton of sense. Close me off with this roadmap. What's coming next? What are you guys most excited about? What's the end goal? I think when you think of Gym Showdown, or just generally this company of all the games you're going to create, what is the end goal for you guys? Are you going to start sourcing your own cards? Are you always going to use Collector Crypts white labeled? Just give me the whole end game roadmap, everything you guys got to look forward to.
Yeah, so I don't think going down like this supply chain of like vaulting the cards is really in our interest. I'd rather pay the fees to collect a crypt and then just kind of focus our specialties on building the GameFi layer. But essentially, if I can say it in a quick word, I mean, we're just trying to build the GameFi layer for collectibles on Solana, right? This incorporates all game modes, PvP. We're just trying to have everyone be able to deposit their cards or play with cards in a gamified manner where they can just walk away with something physically redeemable to their house.
Well, Mr. Jim, this was a fascinating conversation. Again, like when I saw this for the first time, and I'm like, wait a minute, I can go play a game, start off with a couple bucks, whatever it is, and actually win physical collectibles. If I have a $5, $10 card, it doesn't really make sense to get it shipped to me. But I can go and play a game, have some fun, gamified. Now I can actually have this actual card shipped to me at my doorstep the next day if I wanted to. Was pretty mind blowing. And I thought beyond Pokemon, right, to maybe One Piece, to even GTA 6 was what first came to mind. Imagine playing GTA 6, and it's way out there, of course, but like having a car in the game, being able to redeem the car in real life. Of course, that's kind of silly and maybe like not ever going to happen. But I think the general idea of playing these games and everything in the game that I own can actually be redeemable in real life. Now you have a real intrinsic value tied to everything, and you truly have a financialized in-game economy. I think it was a fascinating conversation. You really, that light bulb moment kind of came off, I think, with this as the proof of work. So very cool stuff,
I
Jim.
really appreciate that. Thank you so much.
We will.
Thank you for the time.
Yeah, we'll have to get you back on when things continue to progress. But really good numbers here. I mean, 1,500 people have played, 8,000 battles, $400,000 plus in volume. You guys are crushing it. So we'll have to get you back on for an update shortly.
All right, I appreciate it. Looking forward to it. Thanks, guys. Have a nice day.
Take care.
Peace.
All right, teeing up Hermes World.
Yeah. So on Hermes World, guys, and by the way, shout out Eric being so patient for that one. We definitely wanted to make sure we got all things covered in the conversation with Gym Showdown. Again, Hermes World kind of comes right at the perfect time where this GameFi emergence is really starting to blow up. One thing we had the conversation about when we saw Hermes World is like, wow, this is a beautiful open world concept. Of course, Fable 5 came out, and I think a lot of people are starting to realize there are these developers that have had these concepts around beautiful games, tokenization, in-game economies for a long time. It was just not very practical to bring this to life. I think with the emergence of AI, we're seeing like the ability for indie game devs to really start doing this stuff at scale. I think we're going to see a lot of, pockets of different really cool experimentation going on. But I saw Hermes World. I'm like, wow, this is truly beautiful. I think there's a lot of people contributing to it right now. Went kind of viral on Twitter with a tweet that Eric made. So we're going to get the full scoop from him today and talk about his thoughts on GameFi, where we're headed, and of course, Hermes World. Eric, welcome to the stage. We appreciate you coming on today.
Thank you. How's everything? Nice to be here.
It's going well. I mean, we're just excited to have a great day full of GameFi that is just popping off. You guys have had a pretty busy week, I'm sure. Can you maybe talk me through a bit of how things are going on internally?
Yeah, I mean, everything's going well. We've just been right now with the game pretty much dialing in the servers and everything for people to be playing consistently around the world. That's kind of been like the biggest bottleneck that we've seen, but everything's been going fine. The game itself is like an open world concept, an MMO, sort of like your WoW, World of Warcraft, or all of those other games, but I've built it with AI agents, and the benefit of also using agents is now they also can play the game. That was like a big thing with the game. Like, hey, like I'd like to talk to my agent in the game instead of in a chat box. So when I developed it initially, I had that in the pipeline and got that dialed in and released it. Most recently with Fable, like you mentioned, it did come out and was really big for development as far as just kind of cleaning up some of the things that Opus was doing. Opus is great, and I'm using Opus to develop the game at the moment, and have been Opus 4.8, and it's really good, but it's just not as good as Fable. But in the meantime, Opus has been doing a great job of getting everything together.
So maybe give me a bit of the lore here. How long have you been working on this? You said I'm having Claude Table 5 redo Hermes World. You posted this, it got 430,000 views. Obviously, like it's a beautiful open world concept. Maybe just give me some of the lore here. How long have you been building this? And I guess what changed that just made this, I think, exponentially pop off and kind of start scaling?
Yeah, so I think it's coming up on about 2 months, really. It's not that long, but I had a version 0 of the game, which was just the concept of it that went viral before. And that was first for the Hermes Agent hackathon, because they did like a hackathon for this specific Hermes Agent. It was like a creative hackathon. So I thought, hey, I might as well build something creative, which is like a game where you can jump in, talk to your agent, and then you can also play with other people that are also, talking to their agent. So that V0 was a very basic version. I posted that one. And it was just like a web game that I built with Claude. And it was very simple, 3D shapes and textures with 3JS. And, just running off the browser, you can jump in and play. And that kind of went viral first. It was trending on X. And then what happened was somebody created the token because of that, and it was kind of strange to me when it happened, because I'm in the space, but I'm not 100% featured or like knowing as far as like everything that's going on. So they kind of created it, and then they gave me all the fees, and then from there is when I started developing this game that I have now, which now runs on its own engine, and it has its own standalone like exe on the Windows or DMG for Mac, and then also web for the game as well.
Yeah, this is really interesting. I think a big part of today's conversation is around just like the revolutionary things that are happening in gaming right now, as in, like crypto enabling in-game economies at scale. And I think AI enabling just game building happening at a much more rapid pace, like we kind of prepped the show with. And also like NPCs are one I hadn't even really thought about, but we all see the NPCs from GTA 5, or we all see the NPCs. Everyone says, you're an NPC. It's if you do something basic and you can't really act outside those preliminary bounds. Well, it seems like that's changing in a big way, where agents can now even play games. Agents can be NPCs in games and be much more versatile than they once were. Is that kind of, I think, maybe the crux of Hermes World, or how does that play into, I guess, the future of gaming?
Yeah, so I mean, mainly the concept is, hey, you can go in an open world with your agent, the same agent that you talk to and have it write you code, or the same agent you have it, look in your emails and stuff, so you can talk to it in the game and you can both be in the same world. That was the main goal, because something like that doesn't really exist. And then the other part is connecting that to the NPCs. There's something in Skyrim that I've used before, and that's what kind of gave me the idea. It's a mod where you can connect the AI to the NPCs in Skyrim, and then you can talk to them and have conversations with them more about anything that they're coded to in the game. They still keep their own personas, their own stuff that you can talk to them, but you can just talk to them about anything. You can even like piss them off and they'll get mad. It's funny. So that's where I kind of got the idea from, and that's kind of what I'm gonna build now for the NPCs. I haven't focused on the NPCs using the AI stuff really, because it's not that big of a deal. But the main thing is, hey, the agent can play with you. Your agent can play the game. You can talk to your agent in the game. I want to add proximity chat so you can talk to your agent via voice as well, so people can jump in there and play.
We jumped straight into the lore, but we didn't do a great job, I think, understanding you. Can we get a bit on your background, Eric? Who you are? Have you been building games for a while? Are you a game dev? How just experience in general, your background would be, I think, really nice for us to kind of have some context.
No, definitely. So I'm not a game developer in any way, or a engineer as far as like coding in any way, but I do have a background in marketing. I have a marketing agency at the moment. That's my main thing. But with that being fully automated, I've built it over the last couple of years. I have the time to kind of do whatever I want. And this year I set it up like, hey, as soon as the year started, I wanted to dive into this more, because over the last few years with AI, I've been building stuff like I've built software for my company, I've built stuff for other people, and I've kind of pretty much gotten used to like coding with agents. And when OpenClaw really came out, it really gave me the North Star that I was looking for the last few years of what I wanted it to be like, which is your own personal agent, and it has access to all your stuff, and it has unlimited memory, and you can build whatever you want as long as you have the time and then you have the right model. So, I started there. I started building earlier this year with that. I built a Hermes workspace, which is same in the Hermes agent ecosystem. So it's a standalone product that I built. It has over 5,000 stars on GitHub, which is like an interface to talk to your Hermes agent, because without that, until now, they just released their own desktop app. But before, it was just in the terminal. So if you wanted to go code, you have to type on the terminal. So I built pretty much a ChatGPT like inference setup for that. And then from there, I've gotten, almost 10,000 followers now on Twitter. I started at 400 earlier this year. So I just been posting a lot. I'm over 10 million impressions in the last 3 months as well. Recently, I haven't been posting so much about like coding and stuff in that sense, because I've been focused on the game. But everything started and pushed me towards, hey, let's start developing in a game, because people like it, and people have been following and supporting with everything, with the token and everything. And what I've been doing recently is integrating that token into the game. So I've added some new things now. So when you join the game, if you're holding a certain amount of the token, not much really, it's, let's say, $10, you can get access to certain things like a dragon mount or a horse at certain things. Or if you just have access to it, you get a armor set, and then what I want to do is then add in like land plots, so you can buy your own land. In this trailer, it's like unfinished version of the world that I was adding to the game. So you can see like, just staged stuff that I was just flying around. But people can pretty much have their own castles or their own little towns in the world. And, that's what I want to go with next, the next development of the game. So you can have your own like, in-game area, and you can live there, you can run stuff, you can get taxed, whatever. That's where I want it to be, kind of like a metaverse in a way. Just built by agents.
My friends play these games too
Yeah.
on Xbox, where they have like these castles and they like raid other players. Can you
Like a
explain
Rust?
the multiplayer kind of dynamic here? Like if I have a town and I'm hanging out, and can I go raid Dom's town and like steal his gold or something like that?
Yeah, so that's exactly what is in the pipeline. Not this second you can do it, but that is exactly what I'm building towards now, because now that the game is out, I want to make it more fun and friendly and competitive. Like, hey, you can join in, you can raid somebody else, you can take their stuff. I have it in the game now where you can harvest trees, harvest ore and stuff, and then also do quests to then kind of trade up your currency to put it in the marketplace to list stuff, so you can actually like make money from it. Like some of these other games that are doing that ecosystem sort of, where if you have a certain currency, you can trade it up or sell stuff on their marketplace. That's kind of what I'm doing now. And then I'm getting towards the land stuff, so people can go and raid and do all these things. Pretty much as creative you can be, you can do it now. And that's kind of what I've been setting forth every day.
So this is really interesting. Maybe walk me through some of the like specific use cases that crypto enables. You mentioned like the metaverse. So obviously maybe in the future you'll have the ability to buy plots of land. Of course, that was a big thing a couple of years ago when the metaverse was really popping off. We saw popular brands and companies buying, spots of land within the metaverse. And of course, like you said, it'd be really cool, I think, to maybe go raid those and be able to take their crypto, take their gold, like whatever it is. Maybe talk me through some of the economics of in-game. You can chop down trees to earn currency, potentially ratings coming, potentially buying plots of land in the future. Do you have an idea of just like all those different facets of economics you're going to tap into?
Yeah, so I have it on everything on the landing page as far as for the game, so it like goes into it. So the system is pretty simple. You gather, mine ore, chop trees, materials, or whatever in the mix that you can get from. It's on the economy section at the top.
Got you.
So yeah, you can gather, sell, spend, and earn. It's the full ecosystem. So whether you want to list it on the marketplace or sell it to a merchant that's in the game, you can then trade up to get better stuff. And then other players, if they want certain things, then they'll buy it from you, vice versa. So that's kind of what I just released recently this week. So now that I released it, now I'm dialing it in a little more. There's an auction house, so you can go list your stuff for sale, kind of like RuneScape. If you played RuneScape before, you can go list your stuff for sale. So it's pretty much player driven. And, we do have something where I just started a treasury with some of the buybacks for the token. So that way I want to also give to players who's playing as well as like rewards for playing. So that's something else that we're going to do. And Easter eggs, if you solve the Easter eggs, you also get rewards as far as like tokens. So it's a way that you can play a game, you can play with your agent, and then you can also earn in some way for playing a game. That's kind of what's interesting now with all these games coming out of Solana. You can do all these things and earn some type of way. So I've kind of been in front of it, been 2 months doing this. I wasn't 100% going to be integrating the token into the game, but with it really trending, and I realized like, hey, this is what people would like to do. It only makes sense. The game was just built, and now I'm integrating everything together.
Yeah, I mean, well, you're in marketing, and we know tokens are a very good just vehicle to bootstrap distribution. I mean, again, it seems like you had some metrics and traction before this, but with a token, I think we saw a token go up in price. A lot of people, I think, become interested in what you were building here. Maybe talk me through some of the numbers, maybe the numbers before and the numbers currently, if you have those on hand or off the top of your head. What do some of the metrics, traction, all that stuff look like?
As far as the token specifically?
No, more so just like user base,
Game.
how many people are playing,
Okay,
contributing,
got it.
stars on GitHub, all the above.
Yeah, so the game isn't like out on GitHub as like an open source project itself, because it's like more closed source. It's on Unity, a game engine. So I own all of that. I have all the stuff there. As far as like the metrics, it's pretty crazy. Recently I made a tweet on the metrics. Let me pull it up right now for you. But overall,
You make a tweet, I can pull it up too.
Oh yeah. I posted it on the main page. On the main game page.
I got you. I'll pull that up, but feel free to just talk us through it.
Yeah, cool. So, yeah, I mean, it's been visited hundreds of thousands of times. I think over 500,000 visits to the main landing page. It's gotten tons of requests as well, like trillions of requests as far as like the bandwidth. The user base is right around, I think right now we hit around 2,000 players, like over 2,000 players signed up and active over 1,000. And it's not like the best conversion, I would say, but it's because the game is so hard to understand. Like you join in, you don't know what to do. And the point of what I'm doing now is finishing that system where you join, you know what to do, you know how to play and everything. So the main point is retention at this point, because I got the views and I got everything going. It's really mainly now polishing everything as far as like, hey, this is what you do, this is how you can earn. And then I can start really pushing that as far as the marketing. But it's right around like 2,000 plus people signed up, 1,000 players active for the month, and people are active playing the game every day. And now that I released the new versions with new things, people are also playing it because there's some new things for people to play.
That's really good. I mean, early stage traction numbers like that are fantastic. Can you maybe walk me through a bit of your go-to-market strategy here as a marketer, with a background? How do you go and continue to grow this user base and scale this into a, massive, massive game?
Yeah. So, I mean, one of the things that I really want to do is I have the story of the game. It's pretty much like a book, like Game of Thrones or any of these other like things in this time. So the book is already kind of written and wired into the game and the quest. So what I want to do with the agents is develop and generate that book into a pretty much like a show or a season show talking about the game, and it's literally the characters from the game, everything in the world. So it's like you can go watch the game as far as like what it is, and then that game you can also then go play the game, which I don't think anyone has something like that. And I thought about this, and it's something cool because it's agents working on a game, building a game, and then creating a show for it, which is all done by the agents. So they're literally playing it. And I had this other idea to live stream certain parts of the world always. So, once everything is dialed in, like the NPCs are all agents or people have their agents playing the game, you can just go and watch. It's like an experiment. There was an experiment with Minecraft and AI agents before where people put 1,000 AI agents into a Minecraft server, and, they started developing stuff, so it's pretty much like that, but with this game. And I think, now more than ever, marketing a little more AAA style content, the game trailers and stuff. I've been working on that. I've been looking to get on people for the specific content, because right now it is just me, really. I'm developing the game, I'm posting on X, and I'm marketing and doing everything that I can. It's not that it's hard, but now I need definitely more, support to get everything going so I can have like more stuff, that's like the point of the game. So it's a really challenging feat to do this all yourself, but it's definitely possible with AI and agents. You can do anything really.
In your mind, what makes a great game? And maybe I'll even parlay this into what makes a great game and what makes a great crypto game, if there's even a difference there.
Yeah. So a great game is one, easy to play, easy to get access to. Two, very easy to understand what you're doing. And then three, it has an incentive for you to play it. So the one thing that is important for crypto games is how can you profit in a way, because some people are playing other games, they're farming in the game, they're selling stuff, they're making money there. Other people are investing in the token that's associated with the game to also then profit as well. So those are the things that all need to work together. And how the game is now, it just needs a few more touches for the storyline, for the economy, for everything to be dialed in. Then it's a very clear, obvious answer. You join this open world. I don't think there's another browser game that looks this good. And the thing is,
Looks really good.
very hard to get it in the browser. It took me a long time because the game itself is for, Windows or Mac. I made it for Mac. And I understand why people don't release games for all these platforms, because it's very annoying to develop them, because you have to develop 3 of them at the same time. But I'm doing it because people want to play it on the web. There's dragons in the game, there's horses, there's monsters, there's NPCs, there's quests, there's everything you can really think about. So really just tying it all together is my main point now, and making it so it's like very, very easy, like, hey, play it, and then you learn and pretty much go from there.
Yeah, and you're working on a few different things. Maybe talk me through, as we like kind of head towards wrapping up here, a bit on roadmap and what the end goal is. Are you looking to build like underlying infrastructure as well as the game? When you think about tying in this token to outside of just the game, are you thinking about having this plug into other ventures you're doing, like the Hermes world and some of the other products you're building? Could you maybe talk to me about the end goal, if that makes sense?
No, definitely. So right now we got the web launch for the roadmap. We have the wallet utility, so you can verify your wallet and get access to in-game stuff. Then the next thing that we're going to do is the play to earn loop that I told you. So you can play and earn, farming, selling stuff. Then the property economy section, where you can have your own plots of land and do these things, and you also earn like tax from it, from people that are going to be playing on that, because it's going to be a limited set of land on the same world you just saw just now. It's going to be filled with other houses, and then also a mobile version and a few other things. So I've been working on an expansion. What you're seeing there is like part of the expansion that I've been working on with Fable. And when it's back, I'll get to kind of dial in and finish the expansion. But in the meantime, what I really want to do is also build more of a light version in the same ecosystem. That would be kind of what you're mentioning, to involve the token in different ventures, because the token is cool, and I want to put it in more simplified versions of the game too, for people that may not have the best computers or the best stuff to play it, like more of like a 2D version of it, and it's the same economy, same ecosystem, same storyline, just in a more simple version. So that's also something that I have in the pipeline.
I want to ask about this land system, because a couple of years ago, whether it be Otherworld or whatever, you name it, NFT land systems were like the biggest thing. Hundreds of millions of dollars in volume, Decentraland worth billions at time for this land system. Like, do you see an economy forming similar to that? Like, do you use the token as like the currency? Then you have a land system. Like, how deep do you go with the land system?
Yeah, well, I mean, I think it could be important to integrate it at that level as much as possible. But what I really want to do is have the in-game economy be the seller, as far as the gold. There's bronze, silver, gold, and diamond as like the currency in the game. So that can also mirror the token in a way. Like, diamond is the most expensive thing to get, and it can have a value towards like the token as well. The token being able to purchase land would be great. I just don't know like the specifics of how to kind of get all that together, as far as like how it would work for like some of the things you mentioned before. I figure it'd be pretty technical, and very things that I'm not well versed in, and obviously I can be, but maybe too much liability, I'm not sure. We also have the game approved for Steam, so the game will be on Steam. I'm in the process of getting it all listed there. They did approve everything, so I just have to finish uploading it there, and then that's like a 30-day process, I'm pretty sure. So it's on Steam, and once it's on Steam, then everything else kind of falls in place. The browser side of it is great. I love the browser side because people just play it very easily, but at the end of the day, it's a really massive game that you should play on your computer, like Skyrim or any of these other games that are out. You're not going to play it on the browser, but that's everybody doesn't have the best computer, so that's why it's all set there.
Eric, would you maybe mind giving me a bit of inspiration here? You kind of keep going back to Skyrim, and I think you're, pulling and picking a bunch of different pieces from maybe some things that you're inspired by. Is there any games specifically that you've been really inspired by, and like some specific mechanisms you want to take and implement into your game, and like kind of cut out all the noise, cut out the bad stuff, and keep all the good stuff? Would be curious to know any information there.
No, definitely. So the few things was Skyrim, of course. World of Warcraft was another one. RuneScape for the economy. World of Warcraft for the rating system and the bosses and stuff like that. Skyrim for the overall open world immersion effect. There's also the other game. What's that one game with all the boss fights? Elden Ring.
Elden Scrolls, Elden
Yeah,
Ring
yeah.
or something. Yeah.
Yeah, that one was cool. I've never played it, but I've seen it and it's very immersive. So those are like kind of the things that I like. I like the open world. I like the boss fights. I like the ability to also have your own land and your own property and your own area where you have everything. So you just log in and you kind of continue day after day. There's a new game that was also teased, Fable 5. Which looks, or I don't know if it's called Fable 5, but Fable 5 is the Anthropic model as well. But that game looks crazy. It's going to be released next year. And pretty much you grow with the people. The kids get older in the game. Like you can have a wife. It's something very crazy. And this is a AAA studio. They have unlimited budget to build a game. So these are the things that I can do and put into the game, and it's solo developed. And I think that's cool. At the end of the day, it's free to play. You can just jump on and play it and, have fun. And then hopefully start earning and earn a decent amount of money playing the game. That's the goal.
Well, Eric, this has been a fascinating conversation. We do have to wrap here. Maybe with some closing thoughts as we kind of move towards this world where AI can really bring a lot of these visions to life. They've been able to build a bit of Hermes world, which you're building. And of course, I just think it's, continuing to grow and the possibilities are just emerging that are very impressive. Could you maybe walk us through, I guess, the vision that you see in the coming years, months, maybe, how gaming is going to look? Are we going to see a lot more, a bigger rise of these games coming from indie devs who have had this vision, had this idea, and now they're actually able to do it with something like Fable 5 or these other AI models that are emerging?
No, definitely. I mean, if you have the time right now, you can build anything you want. It doesn't have to be a game. It can be software that you've always wished existed. You can improve your business. You can help your clipping. If you do, clipping, you can help it with marketing, lead ingestion. If you have a certain agency or anything like that, you can do anything. You literally just go to ChatGPT, you go to Claude, and you type to them in the chat box. You figure it out. You start up a Hermes agent or an OpenClaw or any of the other harnesses for the agents, and you can literally just build whatever you want. I think with the games, people that have the inspiration, have the time, and always wish certain games existed, they're now building those games. I've seen some people building games for a couple years now, and now they're accelerated the development because of this. And now with the GameFi stuff, people are honestly really trying to make money because they can now build a game and then put a token in it and try to make money. And I think that's really what people are focused on to close out the rest of the summer. Solana summer, that's what they keep saying. Solana Gaming also, Solana Gaming also, I did a call with them. They're really cool and they're supportive. They really want to see the game flourish. So they've been supporting too. So it's just everyone, you just have to post, build, and, push out all the ideas that you have as long as you have the time to do it, and you
Love
can
it.
pretty much build whatever.
Build in public, make a great game, add some great tokenomics, and you'll be good. We appreciate you, Eric. That was a fascinating conversation. Just like we said with Gym Battles and Chills before this, anytime you want to come back on after some growth, maybe some cool new developments, we'd love to get you back on here and continue to chat. So thanks, Eric.
Thank you. Take care, guys. Appreciate it.
Cool stuff. All right.
Yo,
there we
sick
go.
game. Sick game. If there's the land system, those land systems are really neat. And,
I think Kintera is getting a little bit of traction for some of their sales recently with like land plots selling for pretty decent amounts of money. Cool ones though. I think two big takeaways from today so far is with Gym Battles, like the emergence of RWAs coming in game, being able to play and redeem physical real world RWAs like Pokemon cards, like One Piece cards, is a really cool addition, and like kind of building a game and gamifying around those. And then of course with Hermes World, just the ability to make super cool games, very nice graphics. Of course, NPCs now not being so set and refined by like their abilities. They can now kind of just hang out, go around the world, have agents in the world. I think it's a pretty cool thing. So those are two things AI and crypto are kind of enabling. AI on one side, crypto on the other. But nonetheless, we got Jason coming on now. Josh, we've had Jason on the show before. He's a good builder. You know, we remember his forte into crypto was kind of wild, right? Someone launched him a token, things got crazy, as you know, we've seen time and time again. Now he's building Tiny World, which looks really good. I'm looking at the pictures. I'm looking at these tiny worlds, I guess you could call them. And I'm still trying to fully understand what it does, which is why we have Jason coming on today. But it looks really good, and we're excited to get into and explore his new venture here. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, welcome up Mr. Jason to the show. Jason, welcome back.
Hey, how's it going?
It's going well. We're
also Jason has one of the best stream setups of the guests that we have on here. So
I think last time we had him do like a full room tour or something.
Yeah, really maybe we can we get a solo layout stream?
It's a bit of a mess at the moment, so I can't at the moment. But yeah, but it's really warm here. It's very hot in the UK.
Oh, nice.
We're not used to it. We're not used to it. So we don't have AC and all that nice stuff that you guys have.
Oh, so that's what I've been hearing. I've been tapped in with a lot of this World Cup stuff, and a lot of the English people that are here are like, you know, it's super hot out, but I step inside, it's like the tundra, the Arctic tundra here, and we don't have it. And I was kind of just shocked to even hear that. So you guys don't do AC over there?
No. I mean,
What?
I'm not at home at the moment, but at home I've got an office.
There's no AC, central air in UK houses.
Not normally in the UK. No.
Wow.
We only got it in our cars. I mean, well, 20 years ago, maybe 30 years ago, but you know, we only got it in our cars relatively recently.
Wow.
Whereas you guys, you know, power steering and all that stuff, we were doing it by hand. You know, we were doing it all manually. It was horrific. I don't know what it's done to my machines or whatever, but that's the other thing to be careful of. You know, I've got so much hardware in here as well.
Overheats.
Yeah. I mean, I've got to upgrade my laptop at some point. It's really suffering at the moment. It's you know, a couple of years old, but you know, Mac Silicon thing, but all this agent stuff that kills it.
Well, that's what we're talking about today. We're talking about agents. We're talking about crypto tokens, in-game, GameFi, all this cool stuff. You're building Tiny World. We want to kind of get to know what this is. By the way, graphics look great. What I've seen from the Twitter looks super clean. What is Tiny World, Jason?
So it started as it wasn't really intended to be anything big or anything to do with crypto or whatever. It started as like a little. I was messing around. There's a game called. I think it's called Everglade or Little Glade or something, where you can kind of draw on the map and you create like, you know, patterns and shapes and buildings and things. And I was messing around with Claude with their app, with the artifact stuff, just sort of trying to build something where it was like isometric type game. I want to be able to like drop things on the map and have them, or on the plot, and have them change as I drop more things. So rather than like drawing out a building, if I drop a little cottage, it's a cottage. If I drop another one next to it, it merges into a bigger house. If I drop another one, it goes taller, maybe, and kind of manipulates it like that. So that's where it kind of came from. And I did that, and it was just a little sort of demo that I did, a little 3D thing, and then people liked it, and I put it on. Someone's just sharing a world there by the looks of it. And then Claude picked it up, and they did like a thing on it because they were featuring a few different things that were going on. And then I started to get a little carried away with it and doing some visualizations like the ones there. I've been chasing those visualizations basically. So I've been like progressing the graphics. I mean, if you look at the original version, it's like looking at the first Toy Story. You know, if you look at Toy Story, it's like, oh my God, it's awful. And you look at the latest ones. With the new stuff with the graphics, you know, I'm getting this. It's like voxel based, like stuff like that. And we've got, you know, little special effects in there and waterfalls and things. And it's got like a little story behind it as well. So the idea originally was it was like a Zen garden type thing. You know, you just go in, you build your little world. And you can maybe have it on a screensaver or have it on a stream or something, and have it like spinning around, and you know, you got the beautiful clouds and all this sort of, you know, like, you know, I kind of love that visual of the clouds and everything, especially if you go underneath and you see like through the cloud surface and everything. And that's that's the thing I was doing today. I'll come to that in a minute. Excuse me. So it was a Zen garden type thing. It was like a sort of build, play, have fun with it. And then it kind of the crypto side came into it, and then it kind of became like trying to make it more of a game, make it more interactive, make it more fun. And the kind of the nature of what I did with the propellers and the engines, and how I sort of developed the sort of the mythos, or whatever you want to call it, of the game, was that it kind of made me feel like these things were like they were like flyable ships. And so it suddenly became, well, we could actually have these things actually battling each other. You could actually drive one, fly one of these things next to another one, and cannons can come out. And there's a visual that you might not have with shields that can actually come up. So there's like some shields that come up and then unfurl around the whole thing, and then they have turrets on them, and it kind of makes it look like they're like pirate ships almost, sailing through. And then you can have these battles, and there's planes that you can take off. These are some of the people that are building stuff at the moment. So I created all these sort of basic primitives of like little buildings, and then one of the things I've let people do is like they can import their own little 3D assets. But there's an AI feature in there that's going to allow people to build on the fly, so they can actually build things using the sort of voxel type format. So like the trees that you see there were stuff that I built in the game, where I just said I wanted a voxel style tree, and then you can then share those. So the idea will be it's become much more now of a kind of exploring thing. You can create these artifacts and then share them. So I haven't finished the marketplace stuff yet, but there's going to be like a marketplace where you can put those things up and trade them for like internal currency. So I've had to do a lot of research on this whole sort of concept of currency and being careful of the law and taxes and everything else. And so we've got like an in-game currency, and then we've got the token. So the token holding will give the owners or the players an income of the in-game token, the in-game coin, if you like, the gold or whatever you want to call it, and then that can be used to buy things and trade things internally. But equally, people can actually do their own trading directly with the token, with the actual token. So wallet to wallet stuff. So like, if I create like almost like an NFT, I want to have the trading happening on chain, so that if I build a cool little object, you can buy it from me, and then it's all recorded in the ledger. Basically, it's all recorded on chain, and the kind of it kind of opens itself up to this whole possibility of like I'm talking to a few companies about like doing their head office as a tiny world. So they're like, head office little location is a tiny world, and so you get almost like these little featured worlds that could be almost purchased or visited.
So this sounds like the metaverse, kind of like what we
kind
saw.
Of, yeah. I mean, it's kind of like that. Yeah, I mean, the moment, the way that, so that face thing you saw was that there's a collab build process at the moment. So there's a multiplayer aspect where, which is what you saw pop up on that home screen. I can go in and create from an 8x8 to a 20x20 at the moment. I'm working on different sizes based on performance. Little island, floating world, and I can then collab and bring you in, or any number of people in. I can section off areas of that land to say you can build in this bit and you can build in this bit, and we can just like mess around and have fun with it. The face thing is me that's my face basically. So that's picking up the camera, and I wanted to almost have this concept of I mean, it's not like a god complex type thing, but it's almost like when people are playing in the proper multiplayer, the sort of MMO type multiplayer, where it's all one sort of universe or tiny verse of these different islands. I quite like the idea of having this ability to kind of go in and sort of talk to people and sort of welcome them, and you've got this face sort of in the sky or whatever. It would be quite freaky. So
Teletubbies.
Yeah, kind of crazy stuff like that. So basically the multiverse, the metaverse thing's a good example, because it's got the ability to have things like voice. It's got chat in there. It's got the ability to have voice, and in the test that I've been doing of the MMO version, it's got CCTV boards. So like the lobby, I'm not sure if you'll have any footage of that, but the lobby where you go in is like a 20x20 board. So it's about 4 times, 3-4 times bigger than that one that you're seeing there. And at the back, there's like a big screen, almost looks like a drive-through, and that's got CCTV footage of different cameras on the island. So it's like cycling through different people, and then the Stargate that you see in the middle there is how people will transfer between islands.
So you know how I think about this is I kind of think about this like Roblox style game where you can go in Roblox and build all sorts of different games on top of it, and each one of these worlds could have its complete, its own unique game. I could see some of these battling, but like I guess walk me through who the player base that you're targeting is for this. What's like the prototype of person or user that you are looking for?
It's kind of like what you said. I mean, I haven't played much Roblox. I played a lot of Minecraft. So it's kind of like that whole concept of you've got the free play aspect. You can just play by yourself and just build stuff by yourself. You can do some exploring. So the idea is there'll be the mining stuff that you can do where you can visit worlds. I am going to do the thing where you can buy, you'll be able to buy a world or buy land, and then you can actually have taxes and everything, so people can join and mine it and everything. So there's going to be that kind of aspect to it as well. Like I said, with the building thing, I might be able to, it might be that I've got this land that I've bought and I've got all these minerals and things you can mine for, but I'm going to portion off a little bit where you could actually build something in the corner of that, and it's almost like, it's almost like I'm a landlord of the land now, and then you're a tenant that you can now build a building, and maybe you can sell or rent the building and stuff like that. So it's kind of open to a lot of different uses, really. I mean, the flying aspect is quite cool. So there's actually the planes. I'm trying to do the voxel planes. I've got some temporary ones at the moment, but you can actually drop these stunt planes in and then get in them and fly. And so it becomes suddenly a third person, first person flight sim, where you've now got these things can fly against each other and you can shoot each other, drop missiles, you have targeting system. There's going to be things like, things in the sky to get upgrades and stuff like that. So there's lots of mini game possibilities. So there's kind of like the MMO side of things, building up the world, exploring, traveling around, finding artifacts and all that sort of discovery, maybe teaming up with people. Then there's the sort of classic building, and then there's the quick games. I've got concepts of Angry Birds where you can fire stuff across, and then these guys. So this is me experimenting with the avatars. So I was trying to create like my own rigging system where I could have somebody that can move more naturally. So that's a really simply rigged character that as you, I did a joke on Twitter about the is it the Australian breakdancer? Yeah. So there's a kind of weird moment where you can grab him by the chest and sort of move him around, and he starts doing all these weird little moves. It's a bit like the breakdancer. But yeah, he does this stuff where he can rappel down and climb up stuff. And I wanted to try and make it as automatic as possible so that you can have people actually, controlling those characters, but then also the agents. That's the other aspect of this. There is an API. So at one point, hopefully this week, I want to actually wire in my agents that are building it into the game so that there'll be a world that you'll be able to go to where you actually see like a representation of the build happening, where the agents are walking around and doing stuff. And so that's what this exercise was about. This was me controlling him, but I did a version of that where I created like a bigger island on the ground level, and I dumped about 50 of these NPCs on the island, and they sort of all woke up and were like, oh, what's going on? And they were walking around and picking things up and helping each other with logs, and it was all AI driven. And that opened up, and this is my problem, I sort of get really excited about this stuff and end up doing more and more things. So that now becomes a second game, because there's actually the concept of a surface below these floating islands, and the surface is mainly water. So the sort of concept is it's a flooded planet, if you like. It's a flooded environment. There's little pockets of land that have popped up, but people have basically gone up to the sky. And there's kind of like a thing that I've called, or one of the AIs called it gravitanium, which is the black mineral on the bottom of the islands that help them float. And then the engines are really there for stability and to move them around and stuff. So the concept is that people have gone up in the sky And so there is actually the ability, or there will be, to jump off the island. You can actually jump off and actually free fall down to the surface, and then you're on the surface level, and there'll be water, and there's potential for boats. And, so there's like a whole.
So there's
that was originally going to be like the lobby. You were actually going to come in at the ground level and almost like build yourself up. So like that thing I talked about with them being landed on the island, it was almost like, we're down here, we've got to start building shelter. And then as we start building, it's like the island starts to elevate up and starts to take its place sort of in the sky type thing. So, and then the bigger thing I've got is space. So I've got a prototype of a space elevator that you can drop on the island, and then it will fire a line up, and there'll be a mirror island in space that's connected to it, and then you can travel up there in a suit, and you'll be able to get minerals and things from stuff flying by. And then there's space travel and all that stuff. So it's got loads of potential.
There is a ton of potential. That's why I feel like we could sit here and talk about all the different games forever, right? There's where you fly and battle the islands. You can play the Angry Bird style game where you birds on an island. You can
battleships and things like that.
Open world environments where you run around. You can go to space. You can go up to the ground. Right? There's so much to it. Maybe talk to me about where like tokenization and crypto comes into it. The whole conversation today that we've been having is, what does crypto uniquely enable for a lot of these games, and what does AI uniquely enable for a lot of these games? And I think, a few months ago, maybe even a year ago, lots of this stuff wasn't possible for the average developer. You have a pretty extensive background in developing, of course, but, what in your mind has AI and crypto enabled that I think, or that games really haven't seen in the past?
Well, I mean, the biggest thing that's impacted me with all this is the fee system and income for me as I'm building this stuff. So, this thing costs, inference, it costs hosting, there's real-time stuff that you have to pay for. And what crypto enables me to do with this is to be able to, collect fees and be able to fund that. So it's kind of like right now, this is my main job. This is what I'm doing. This is paying the bills. This is paying for me to do this. So I can actually, have fun actually building this and actually build something that's really meaningful. On a larger level, the crypto side of things, I want to build in this sort of economy into the game, because I'm more than aware that people, who are holding on, and there's been people that have been holding on to the coin for like over a month. I mean, it only really started like in May. There's been people that have held on for like 25, 30 days, and that they've like 2,500% increase and stuff, crazy stuff. And it's gone up and down. It went down over the last 24 hours because I did like a launch, and it was probably a bad timing to do it at midnight. So a few things went wrong over the night, and I fixed it all. So it's taken a little bit of a hit, but it's been pretty consistent so far. But yeah, with the coin, so with the token stuff, what I'm liking about that is I've come up with this concept of this kind of almost like a royalty that you get. So the holders, when they come in and connect the wallet, the level of holding they have will be directly connected to it. It's not a monetary thing, so I've got to be really careful with finances and are you a bank and all that stuff. You've got to be careful. So it's more of a quantity thing. So, you've got 20 million tokens or 20 million of the coin, then it equates to, say, I don't know, let's say 2,000 a week of gold or whatever it is, whatever the number is. And that becomes a regular income. So if that holding changes, obviously that changes. But then with that regular income, you can now do things in the game that you could also do with the tokens. So it's kind of like those games where it says like, you need, or like Call of Duty almost. Call of Duty, you play and you earn XP. And then with the XP, you can buy things. But that's a really slow process, isn't it? So you want to buy that new skin that's 2,000 XP.
Right.
You've got to play for ages. Or you can spend money and do it. So with this concept is that there'll be things where you can, especially with the AI side of things, where you can use your XP or your gold, and you can either earn that and trade that and profit like that, or you can spend money, either token money or real money. So it's up to you. But there's lots of things in there which is going to be quite unique, I think, in that there's going to be AI involved in terms of you being able to have an AI that you can use to build things for your world and that you can share with other people. whether that's free that you want to share it, or whether you want to do that in the marketplace as a trade of gold or the in-app coin or whatever. The key thing with that is that because the AI, if you think about like the role of like a builder or the role of an explorer, the different roles that people could have in the game, people that are crafting their own little mini apps or their own worlds or their own little adventures, they actually almost become like jobs or roles within the environment that could then be charged out. So if someone's managed to train the AI with some prompting to do really, really cool voxel objects, and they don't necessarily want to share all those prompts, that person can now have an agent within the game that's like a builder. And I can now go, well, I want to hire that guy. I want to hire that builder to build out my cottages because it does really good cottages. And that's going to cost in-app currency. It's going to cost some gold, or it's going to cost some, whatever the trade is. So it's almost like building your own little team of agents. And that's where the API and stuff will come in, because I'll be able to potentially have like a landscape designer and a builder and all these different things. And then you can actually go in and say, I want to hire that agent.
Yeah.
And that's a transaction that can happen. So there's a lot of opportunity with that. And that I wouldn't necessarily see that normally happening without the crypto side of things. But on the thing you were saying, the thing at the moment is, I think, and there's a huge surgence of this stuff, and it's funny how it's always gone that they're all going back to like that retro thing. We're all trying to recreate that 80s for people that were around in the 80s and the 90s of all these sort of fairy tale adventure and games like this, that these are like the manifestations of those now. I think this is going to be over the next, well, it is now, I think, but over the next 12 months, I think the visualization of AI agent workflows is going to be told through games and environments like this, because we can't cope with it. I mean, I'm building stuff all the time with tooling, and at the moment you're either sitting there with 50 windows open, looking at all this text flying by, and you're just wondering what the hell's going on. Or if you could visualize that as a world, that you can actually immediately look at that world, like look at that image there and see that you've got the things are growing and the lights are on and everything's nice and green. It's like, oh, cool, everything's working. But if the plants look a bit crap or the things listing a little bit, it's almost an immediate visualization that something's wrong. And because we're storytellers, and I think, we come from a world of, we come from stories, and we love films and we love all that stuff. I think this whole gaming culture is going to come together with the agent stuff. And I just think it'll be really, really interesting to have like a stand-up meeting of how we've got on with the development this week. And it's told through a game, right, or a trailer for a game, or a comic related to the game.
It's a bit hard for people to visualize, but actually, I remember during the previous AI run we had kind of on chain with crypto, someone was building something like this, where it was this open world kind of pixelated game where you could walk around, and there was hundreds and hundreds of NPCs in there, but you could click onto each one and see what they were building, what it was, and the workflow was gamified. And you're right, it is this kind of deeply technical thing on the back end, but when it's gamified, it becomes much more easy for the average person to visualize and be like, okay, this is actually what's getting done. I can kind of comprehend it because this is how things operate in the real world, right? This agent is no more than just a person in the real world doing his office task. And now I can see it like that. So,
and you could do like a Big Brother thing, like the CCTV thing. When I was messing around with that, suddenly made me realize, holy crap, I could do like a Big Brother thing where you could actually have, the cameras are randomly filming stuff within the worlds. And then that's put together in like a little web series that might be only a 30-second thing every day. But it's like, here's an update from Tiny World, and here's so-and-so, they're doing this, and here's so-and-so. And, this guy's getting on, and he's, doing some really cool voxel builds, or there's some free falling going on or whatever. It's just like these little adventures that you can get. And then there's the sort of backstory and the lore. And it's just, there's so many opportunities, I think. But with anything like this.
Well, there's really so many different ways you could take this. I think like the most clear one in my mind is having this Roblox situation where anyone can come in and build their own games. And maybe to get in those games, you have to pay gold to unlock, and a piece goes to you, piece goes to the creator. Buying plots of land to build on top of these games, buying things for the agents, buying a companion. Like there's so many different aspects to it. And this kind of turns into, whatever you can dream of to whatever anybody in the world wants to build on top of this infrastructure. And it's accessible to the masses. And by the way, you can use this native currency to do all this stuff. And I think that's, the true end goal here. I want to talk about traction because you mentioned Claude picked this up, the Claude accounts, and they kind of highlighted this. Well, maybe start me with what that actually looked like and how we got to where we are today, because you have 1,206 stars on GitHub. What has traction looked like? How did this whole thing kind of get started? Maybe give me a better idea and understanding of that.
Okay, so I mean, it was, so when I did the first tweet, it was basically saying messed around with Claude, doing an artifact, we'll share it soon or something. And it was just a normal kind of tweet, and it sort of got some traction, and then it wasn't huge, but it was just, it was fairly significant, and I was getting a lot of people following me and stuff. And then I actually got a direct message from Anthropic saying we're doing a social thing on Claude, and people building stuff with it, and can we include your thing, your little artifact that you did, your little world? And I'm like, yeah, sure. So I actually then forgot about that, and then started doing the whole tiny world, expanding it, and about a week later this suddenly dropped. And it just went through the roof. I mean, the market cap went up. I think we have peaked at over 1 million, but it went up, like skyrocketed up to like 800,000 or whatever at one point during that sort of day, if you like. And it was just going completely nuts. And then loads of people were jumping on it, and it was just crazy. So that was like the biggest boost. And then I kind of, played the game a little bit with including other people into tweets and things. So, Netlify were involved in terms of the platform that I'm using at the moment is Netlify. So I included them with a couple of tweets, and then it got featured on their weekly social catch up. So again, bang, that boosted things a little bit more. And I've sort of gone around to a few different things that I'm using. So there's obviously Claude, there's Netlify, OpenAI. I haven't had anything with that yet, but there's been a few. What was the Solana Gaming? I think did a couple of tweets, and so there's been, there's been peaks and troughs. It's been really stable. It's kind of like hovered. When after it boosted, it kind of hovered around the 400K mark, and then can regularly just suddenly go up to like 600, 800, 900, and then down again. It took a little bit of a hit the weekend, like I say, because I'm still finding my feet with everything. And people are really keen for the multiplayer. And so I tried to do a sort of these waves, and I did wave 1 and was going live yesterday, which was basically multiplayer. But it had a few issues. Like I say, there was a couple of things with logging in and stuff and wallet connections. And so it caused a couple of glitches for about 3 hours. So I haven't had much sleep today. I've had about 3 hours sleep today after I woke up and saw it happening. I was like, oh, Christ. So it's gone up and down, but today I've been banging out loads of stuff, and I'm still doing that daily. So, and when I do that, there's, when people actually see, this is the difference. I'm not saying I'm different from other developers, but the comments that I get from people are that they see me actually developing and pushing stuff out.
Well, I mean, and you're a seasoned developer too.
Yeah.
A lot of the people building now, I think, they weren't able to build before AI, and you have had that skill set and ability for a long time now. Obviously, lots of interest from big companies, and that's kind of part of the lore there that we talked about on the other last time we talked to you. So not going to get too much into that, but I want to maybe start wrapping this up and get to the target audience here. How do you, I guess, evangelize this, bring this to market? Because, like I said, there's so many different facets. I know today gaming, I think, is more free, right? Back in the day, you have to pay $60 to get a game. Now it's like almost all of it's free, and the revenue and economics are in-game purchases, in-game items. It almost seems like you can have a world, again, going back to it, where you have this world and there are all these different games built on top of yours. Maybe they're voxel style like this, maybe they're not. But just having people build on top of your ecosystem and validate it, and being able to go from this island to this island and play a completely unique game, I think is a really cool idea. In your mind, what's the go-to-market strategy here? How do you get people building on top of this? How do you get this game really blowing up and into the right hands? Curious to hear your thoughts there.
Yeah, well, I mean, and I've got to be led, obviously, by the people that want to be involved with this, because they're saying they want multiplayer, they want MMO, they want that kind of the token economics in there and stuff, which is fine. I'm building that stuff in, but I want to kind of do a bit more than that in terms of expanding the capability. So like you say, the mini game thing could be really interesting. So I've got the API stuff in there, so you can plug your agents in. But I want to, like, that face thing you saw was actually an add-on that I was experimenting with today. That was not part of the core system. It was like an add-on that could be part of an SDK, if you like. So that can actually hook into potentially events within the game. So you could pick up people and things, you know, because there's a hand aspect to it that wasn't shown on there, where you can actually reach in and pick things up.
Oh, okay.
And so yeah, so you can get some really crazy situations like, I mean, imagine a boss fight where the guy comes in and just flattens the thing. And then I've thought about having. I mean, I have gone to the extreme and thought about having a nuke that you can actually buy. It's really expensive and it's a one-off. And if you use it, you like win everything almost, but you can't populate for years in terms of the game life because you've just destroyed everything. So it's like consequences. But I'm getting a lot of interest from people about the kids and creative stuff. So actually having, which I guess like Minecraft has had, you know, being able to teach people about building and teach people about layouts and teach people about all kinds of things about landscapes and stuff, because there's a whole crafting of landscapes you can do. So I think you're right about you sort of nailed it with the metaverse sort of analogy. I want to expand it into being something that is very creative, but has a purpose in the sense that I want to be able to do like X spaces, but like X spaces where the X space is still X space, but it's kind of synced with this. So everyone's in a world with their avatar. And when they say stuff and do stuff, it kind of has an effect with what their character does in the world. They're not necessarily driving the character, but there's an effect.
Right.
And it's quite, you know, if you think about like Hermes World, I love, and there's another one out there called it's Claude of Warcraft or something, which is an open source thing.
Yeah,
Their
World
API,
of Warcraft.
Yeah, that's it. And their API is accessible, freely accessible, so you can actually go in and see the online players and things. And so what gets me really interested in is having crossplay between these different environments. So imagine like having that game, which I can't remember the name of now again, or Hermes World, actually cross-linked, so that characters that do things and things that happen in one game can actually be synced with something that's happening in another, and creating this weird effect where, you know, like Ready Player One, I've got in my mind, I've got this idea of this Ready Player One environment where you can have all these different things happening and they can cross over with the different worlds. And that's kind of where I'm thinking of going with it. If you think Oasis and Ready Player One, I kind of like that idea, you know.
I think back to this
concept shot I did of a Gundam, basically a massive mech standing on one of the islands, like really like guarding the island, like this ridiculous huge thing. And I love that sort of concept of like, you know, of you're having this battle or whatever, and then suddenly this freaking huge mech just lands. It's like
so funny. I think back to this concept of like Wreck-It Ralph. I'm not sure if you watched this movie.
Yeah. The internet one, the second one. Yeah.
He like lost connection and he goes into this world where it's like a train station with all the different worlds and games in him.
Yeah.
Somehow he ends up in like a candy land or something.
Yeah.
It's kind of like that similar idea, you know, this world where all of the characters can mix and mingle. And by the way, you can take the train to this world, or in this case, maybe fly over. I think it's a pretty cool idea.
You said about the different looks and things. One of the things I've been playing with is that there's previews of the different worlds that show little isometric views, just very simple pixel views with the little dots representing the buildings and things. I'm actually thinking of doing a proper transposition of the 3D to the 2D, so that it's almost like the multiverse type thing. You can actually go in and play one of the worlds in a completely different look that would actually be a typical isometric pixel game where it's all 2D, but everything is still the same. It's like live and it's working just like it is, but you know, it's like going on a Game Boy and seeing a black and white version, but it's the same thing, you know, and having, and then, I mean, it just gets, and there's the AR side. I'm playing with the Quest. So if you think about this as a drone, you can actually fly it around your room and have it on your desk hovering and stuff like that. So there's so many possibilities, I think, with it.
Yeah. Well, very cool stuff, Jason. This is unfortunately the time we gotta go, but I appreciate you chatting today. I do think you have a really cool concept that you can take in so many different directions. And I like of course, the tokenized aspect of it, which is the core of the show. So thanks so much for coming on today.
Thanks a lot. Thank you.
We'll chat soon. Excited to watch updates as they come in.
See ya.
See you. Alrighty, boys. It's just me. Josh is working hard on the back end on this product, trying to iron it out for you guys. How we doing? Good day today. That was the GameFi day. I think we got a lot of insight from the builders that are doing it in real time. That's what was really important today. Of course, covering these projects, but also understanding what's changing in real time, right? How is tokenization changing gaming? How is AI changing gaming? And I think we got that today. So very, very cool stuff. Nonetheless, let me quickly get you guys to look at the schedule because we have a banger schedule for the rest of the week. And happy to take some tickers, look at a few things. I know Archeum launched today, which was one people were really excited about. Meteor has been doing very, very well. Of course, we talked about it on the stream and then put out some tweets that seem to have caused a ripple effect in the market, and people are now looking at it. But let me actually go to the schedule. Guys, we do this every single day, Monday through Friday. We have the best guests on every single day of the week. And of course, this week is no different. The schedule is an absolute banger. You guys need to tap in. But here's what we got this week. Wow, pop it up. All right, here's what we got this week. Today, we just had our GameFi day, of course. So today, you had Chili's. We had Gym Battles come on, one that I was really excited for. Hermes World, which was a really cool open world concept. We saw, and then, of course, close it just now with Jason and Tiny's World tomorrow. Tomorrow's a banger, boys. Tomorrow, we got Orinth coming on. Now, Orinth has been popping off. It's a launch pad that's been building for a while. Initially launched on bags. I think they went and spun up their own launch pad. Maybe, I guess I got to get the lore on that. Maybe with some gripes on bags or however it ended up working out. But recently, they've been running some challenges, doing some hackathons and whatnot. Had some really great launches, Pi being one of them. So Orinth has really garnered a bunch of attention, gained volume. I think if you look at a, launchpad sector, which launchpads are doing the best, it's like Meteora, Pump Fun, and then Orinth is right below that. And then I think EZA. So Orinth is coming out tomorrow. We're going to have the Giannis come on and talk about it, which is going to be a lot of fun. And then Pi, an ecosystem project that recently launched. A lot of smart people are watching this and saying, look, they're doing something really innovative and cool here. So we're going to talk to them, of course, at 12:30 directly after that. I'm sure you've seen them. It's been popping off. Both these tokens have been popping off, along with Squire. Of course, we have had Gilbert on before. Squire's apparently had a lot of updates. We're just going to have them come on and let us know what's going on. So it's going to be a great day, guys. Again, Monday through Friday, we're live streaming. We have the best guests. We're trying to cut all the noise, provide nothing but signal for you guys. So highest signal show, highest edge, highest alpha on the market. Growth has been incredible, guys. The market seemed to be coming back. I mean, a lot has been popping off across the board. Backpack's been doing well, which we covered on the show. It's just been going up only since then. Meteor has been doing very, very well. We're going to talk about a few things before I dip on you guys today. But let me tell you about the rest of the week. Wednesday, okay, so we talked about Tuesday. Tomorrow, it's going to be a banger. Wednesday as well, we're going to have Blocks come on, which is going to be a bit more on, on this conversation of they have a gaming studio. Of course, they're doing a lot of stuff on the Roblox front as well. So they've got some updates they want to come on and talk to us about. So excited to hear that. That's at 12:45. Before that, though, this is something Josh has been really interested in. It's Flip Cash. So we're talking tokens on Flip Cash, what Flip Cash is at 12 o'clock, 12:45, of course, Blocks API. They won the Pump Fun Hackathon. They're coming on. Then after that, Velvet or VU, which is now on virtuals, has been popping off on Binance. Honestly, we kind of saw the Binance crime cycle happen about this. So maybe getting some insight on how Binance crime works. I will be off Wednesday. It'll be Josh and Chill, but this will be a really cool one. So Velvet popped off on Binance. They have VU as well, which is on virtuals. That'll be 1:15. And then finally 2 p.m. Riverboat, one that was highly requested. So Riverboat's coming on at 2 p.m. That's Wednesday. Banger again. Thursday, another banger, Compute Zero. This was like the talk of the town. I think it went to like $12-13 million market cap in like 3 days from zero. It's been absolutely popping off. Ironically, Zero is the ticker. So that's been doing really, really well. We have them coming on to break down this whole new model. Apparently, it's something completely different in AI. If it's successful, people are very excited about it. So that's going to be a cool one. Then, of course, Knock coming on. Proof of useful work has been a very big trend recently. Of course, we had Zinc on. We had Ore on. We've had Bean on. Now, Knock is not necessarily a gambling game like this, as far as I'm aware, but they are doing this proof of useful work concept, which we see people like Pearl doing, right? Pearl's been popping off for this recently. And of course, Knox doing it as well. And then Friday, we're wrapping up the week with Railgun, protocol level privacy. We saw Zcash had the exploits not long ago where for years, people could print fake Zcash, basically exchange that for real Zcash. Of course, that's the issue with privacy protocols, privacy layers as a whole. you can't really see what's going on. So privacy level protocols, Railgun, where you can just insert that into anything individually. And then, of course, Extra to finish it off at a 115, also highly requested. That's Friday the 6th. So really exciting stuff, guys. Not Friday the 6th, excuse me, Friday the 26th or 25th, whatever it is. Yeah, Friday the 26th. So really exciting week, guys. As always, it's going to be a banger. Let's talk markets. Let's talk markets. Let me pull up what I got here saved in the bookmarks. Hope you guys are doing well. It's a good Monday. It really feels like things are coming back. I'm going to start with Bitcoin here. Bitcoin has bounced a little bit. It's back kind of in this range. Of course, we are looking generally, we've said just like DCA, anytime you touch the lows in this range, DCA, we're getting close to that true Bitcoin cost. We had the Blockworks guys on last Friday to talk about some of their strategies and frameworks. Of course, Bitcoin is coming into that zone where it's, the true cost of Bitcoin is right around here. Of course, minor capitulation has been happening, especially with AI, indicative of a bottom. And we've been ranging really nicely. So we got this dip. Bitcoin's been up and down. What's been nice, though, is despite Bitcoin ranging, altcoins have been popping off, right? Altcoins, we've seen these pockets of things pop off really, really well, which is a sign, I think, like the markets are ready to go when Bitcoin turns around. So there's Bitcoin. Solana's been leading. Here's Ethereum doing Ethereum things. Solana's been leading a bit the last couple of days, putting in multiple percentages. Today, it's actually not outperforming. It's down. With that being said, let's look at some altcoins because this is where things have been exciting. Of course, Hyperliquid just massively outperforming. Now, interestingly enough, though, I'm starting to change my tune on Hyperliquid a bit. I am very excited about the future of Hyperliquid. I think perps are huge. Access to these markets is huge. I do think when you look at its value compared to some of the other top 10 crypto revenue generating protocols, the price to earnings of Hyperliquid are massive compared to something like a Card, something like a Pump Fund, and maybe some of the others that are emerging. Not that Hyperliquid is not a good trade. We've told you it's a good trade. We've been in it for a long time. Josh notoriously swapped all of his Ethereum for Hyperliquid down at the bottoms, at the lows, has made really good gains. We marked out this as a buy zone. But nonetheless, there's a lot of opportunities outside of Hyperliquid is what I'm trying to get at. But Hyperliquid's looking really good. WorldCoin, of course, Josh has been bullish on this one. It's been up only for the last couple of weeks. Of course, we're seeing this kind of get adopted, use case potentially being formed. Token, unsure of how this plays into the ecosystem, but interesting one nonetheless. Backpack. You guys know I love Backpack. I've been talking about Backpack for a while. Notoriously called this out after they listed SpaceX and got a bunch of volume. Since that point, it's gone up about 100%. So I'm in this position, not Phil as much as I would like to be, but it's absolutely just taken off. Today they listed MU as well, so another spot equity position, and I'm not exactly sure how that's doing, but I'm sure it's gaining some volume. So Backpack's doing really, really well. Of course, this is trading at 150 million market cap last I checked. Let me pull up their CMC and get that exact number for you. Again, this was trading at $40 million for weeks and months. $40 million it was trading down here. And this is after reports of doing $100 million in revenue in 2025 from the team. This is after, reports of conversations around a $1 billion valuation. The token does have a claim on the equity, so all stakers will get 20% of equity upon IPO. Right? So really cool stuff from Backpack. I think their team's very innovative in that sense. Again, launched SpaceX, did like $500 million plus in volume in the first week. Look at this thing. Trading at $173 million market cap, 700 million FTV. Of course, we know like 37% of this will not be released until after IPO. And of course, the token represents about 20% of equity. So really cool stuff there. Again, 172 million, looking really, really good. When I look at this, I instantly think of Meteora. And of course, I put out a tweet on Meteora over the weekend that did very well. Okay. Meteor or MCG did as well. I can even find it here somewhere. Let's see. Again, boys, this is a motion party. All you got to do is tap in and listen. We're coming with the alpha. So yeah, we posted this, and this is a full breakdown of us basically talking about Meteor here and their value. We went over the investor relations page and studied some of the stuff that was very interesting. Some stuff stood out to us. And here's the tweet we put out. Again, 25,000 people saw this. And the question was, is MET severely mispriced? Meteor's treasury is 71% of their market cap. Here's the full metrics. They have a $56 million market cap, $40 million sitting in the treasury, 32 of which is USDC, 5 million of which is Solana, 18 million net cash flow in Q1 alone, 114 billion lifetime DLM volume, 640 million lifetime fees, 60 million plus in protocol revenue. And of course, this is much higher with Launchpad. They did over $100 million in profit last year. And 4.5% of Meteor token supply bought for $13 million. What was funny about this, it was trading a $56 million market cap. They could practically buy the entire supply, outstanding supply, with their treasury. They could have if they wanted to. Of course, it would have been a slow DCA, but that was the state of the market that we were in since this tweet. And you know, I'll pull up my tweet as well, because I'd like to think that had some contribution to this run, considering it got, I think, 70,000 impressions here. Let's see. But this is starting to get shared around quite a bit. I just put out another tweet as well comparing Meteora to Radium, right? The numbers just don't make sense. If you look at Radium, they're 350 million FTV, 170 million market cap, 4.3 billion 30-day DEX volume with a revenue of $513,000. That's 30-day revenue, which is 6 million annualized. Whereas Meteora's 165 million FTV, 88 million market cap. So again, circulating looks better on both sides. With higher DEX volume, which is 4.733 billion in 30-day DEX volume, $1.5 million in 30-day revenue, which is $18 million annualized, right? So I just put out that tweet. And of course, I talk about how quarter on quarter, we've seen the spot equities market grow over 100%, from 2 billion to over 5 billion, 4 billion, 5 billion, where it is today. And of course, I mentioned Meteora benefits from all of the following: new Launchpad spinning up because they're all being built on Meteora, equities coming to Solana, which is growing 100% quarter on quarter, pre-IPO companies, and of course the LP Army doing $4 billion in volume in the last 30 days, 4.7 billion in the last 40 days. So Meteor is doing good things. I want to find, oh, here it is. Okay. And here's the quote tweet. This is a tweet that we put out. And again, yeah, I got 81,000 views. I think this, I mean, I know it really set off the Meteor run here. Of course, if you were on the stream, you would have gotten this before a tweet went out. But yeah, we talked about the profit and all the numbers here and how crazy this got. And of course, I mentioned Backpack traded at 40 million and repriced to 170 million in like a couple weeks. And I think Met will do the same. This is the Met chart now. This is when we put out the tweet. It has since gone from 55, 56 million to 86 million. So increased $30 million in market cap value here in the last couple days. I think this will continue to grow. It was simply a situation of people not being aware of just what Meteora is offering. So there's Meteora. We talked about Backpack, talked about Meteora. Jupiter's an interesting one as well, gaining some traction. I think the revenue model is really starting to take shape. People are seeing the revenue narrative, I should say. People are saying high revenue generating protocols really pick up. Jupiter is one of those. It has 50% buybacks as well. I still think the price to earnings is a little inflated here. I'm going to look. I have this written down. 50% buybacks in Jupiter. They did $3 million of buybacks in Q2. That's a 1 to 18 price to earnings ratio. Of course, there are no unlocks coming, so we're just doing straight market cap here. 1 to 18 PDE, which is not crazy by any stretch. It's not crazy, but it is stretched compared to some of the other options we have. So I'm not quite yet bidding Jupiter. But remember, any volume picks up on Solana, and this is a 1 to 18 price to earnings ratio, but their revenues will increase drastically if we see volumes pick up back like they were in the OG days of Solana. So again, 1 to 18 price to earnings ratio right now. I think that's set to close very quickly once volumes pick up. So 50% is going to buyback. Jupiter is definitely one to keep eyes on. JTO is one that's going to benefit from the perps trade. Of course, revenue is low right now because this platform is not live. Although they raised $50 million to build it out, 80% of revenue is going to go back to the token. I think you come down here into this range and you're looking like a good trade. Number one, based on the narrative alone, but also revenues should pick up hopefully by that time. Let's see what JTO's market cap would be if that is the case. So we have to drop. My entry ideally here is another 15 to 20%. I'll call it 20% drop. So let's see. Here's JTO. This is how we're looking. I really want us to come 20% lower. I'll do it by market cap. Let's see. Yeah, so I really want us to, okay, so that would be a $250 million market cap, which I think is still high, honestly. I think that's still high. The narrative is right, but again, we have Meteor trading at 88 million and they're doing $18 million annualized in a bad market. This is doing nothing. This is doing zero. I don't know. JTO at 320 is definitely high. I think probably even coming down here, more like 35%, putting us at around the $200 million mark. Let me adjust. Yeah, let me adjust my charting on this actually. And again, this is pumping because it's gotten a lot of attention and it's the native Solana perp dex narrative, right? It's the hyperliquid of Solana, if you will. And yes, I think that's a big narrative. I know they're going to enable a lot of other things as well, not just perp dex, but yeah, I think 200 million is probably closer to the valuation I would want this at, considering Backpack is trading at 180 million right now. Meteor is trading at 88 million right now. This has like no revenue. That's the only issue. The narrative's really strong. I think Solana's going to push this hard. I think perp dexes are going to continue to grow. I just need this to come down a little bit further. That's my JTO. I'm going to leave it at that for the macro, and I'm just going to jump to on-chain real quick. And guys, again, if you have anything you want to chat about, feel free to drop it. Happy to look into it. Cards is on a bit of a pullback right now. I would love for this to come lower. Don't know if that's going to happen. At this point, you'd be lucky if you get any kind of dip on this. Revenues are fantastic. Scale is fantastic. You'd be really lucky to get this dip. You'd be really lucky. Looking at cards, Jim, we had on the show today, it's on a bit of a pullback. Again, this is right in the intersection of the cards and GameFi meta. Potentially a good buy opportunity if you get in here. Again, One Piece is coming soon. They did $400,000, excuse me, $400,000 in cards paid out. 1,500 battle or 8,000 battles played. 1,500 people played. I think they said like 200 are playing daily potentially. Don't quote me on that. That'd be an interesting one. Clued is up 12% on the hour. This one's starting to slowly gain some traction. Of course, we love Clued on this show. Big fans of Seb. This is trending upwards, so keep eyes on Clued. Pump Fun Hackathon winner. Probably going to do an ace round pretty soon. Avicii's been trending up a little bit, right? Again, this is one of the fastest growing crypto cards. Excuse me, gonna drink some water. This is one of the fastest growing crypto cards. As we watch this, here's the alpha on this, guys. Here's the alpha on this. Do yourself a favor and pull up 01 Resolve. Here's the site. Pull up this site right here. If you guys want insider information on all of the MetaDAO projects, this is the best site you can find it at. 01resolve.com. And it's going to have all the different MetaDAO projects. Click on Avicii. Okay, we know this is one of the fastest growing crypto cards. What I'm going to watch for and what you guys should be watching for is this exact thing. And I talk about it all the time, but now I have a visual for you. Okay, let's go to financials. We can see all the financials of the company. It's got to load for me. So here's what I would watch. Okay. Firstly, you're watching the treasury here, right? Here's the total balance, $3.37 million. Okay. They have a $100,000 monthly spend limit. What I want to see for me to start bidding a lot of the MetaDAO projects is this right here. The treasury to stop going down and start flipping to going up. What that would look like is the revenue from the company is actually meaningfully making more than they're pulling from the 12 treasury. So now we have a convergence where you have price going close to net asset value, right? So if Avicii trades close to this total balance here, right, or around that balance, I think right now it trades at, $14 million. So it trades well above this. But if you go and break down their treasury, right, their LP positions plus the treasury, you're going to want to watch. The closer we get to this total balance, the better. But what really we want to watch for is treasury's been declining, right? From here is 5.6 million, right? They raise a bunch of money. It's going down steady. Doing audits, paying for things, 100K monthly spend limit. We need to watch this flip from going down to going up. Treasury needs to start trending in the right direction. And once that happens, you can start putting meaningful multiples on this stuff, right? If Treasury's at 5 million, that's grown from 5 million to 5.1 million. It's gained $100,000 in a month. Okay, well, now they're potentially doing 100K in revenue, right? And we can actually check that over here. If we go to the OpCo, right, which is the, the holdings company, basically, if I'm understanding that correctly, you start seeing some inbound here. They're actually making some money. Right here, for example, this is OpCo expenditures. The amount, value, 20K. I'm not sure if this is profit or withdraw. So it'd be nice to see more clearly, I guess, what these are for. And of course, you can track it on chain. But what we want to see, guys, is we'll go back to the Dow here. What we want to start seeing is this Treasury overview going from down, down, down. Right? It was down to 3 million, and now it's back at 3.37 million. So we want to see it start growing. How are they making money? Is the token yielding? The token yields money, so Treasury should be growing naturally, I guess, with yields from how much they raise. But stop pulling the 100K and start gaining money into the Treasury, and that's going to show us that we've actually flipped from being, burning capital, being profitable, and now we can start putting multiples on that. Okay, they're doing 100K a month. This is going up 100K a month. Okay, nice. Well, that's $1.2 million a year. You can put multiples on that. They should be trading 10x above revenues, right? Or whatever you want to call it. So that's what you want to watch for. It stands for Avicii. It stands for all of the other ones as well, like Umbra and any other MetaDAO project. So that's your alpha for the day. Just keep eyes on this. Want to keep that to myself, but I had to let you guys know about that sauce. So I'm jumping back on chain. Let's see. Jumping back on chain, we see Avicii, and of course, Avicii is trading at 14 million now, but at one point is at 5 million. I mean, this was literally hovering right about around net asset value at one point. 5.1 million. I think in the Treasury probably had 4.5 million, 4 million, maybe 3 million at this point, but not much of a, a markup here. Now it's trading at a bit. Now it's trading at a bit of a premium to net asset value. But again, if spending and revenue start flipping, you're looking good. Solo is one I would watch. This exact narrative is one for Solo to watch. Solo is trading at 7.2 million market cap. All right, maybe I pulled it down too fast. Let's go back to 01 Resolve and see how much they have in Treasury value. Okay, and of course, when you're looking at this, Treasury is going down. You don't want to necessarily trade it at net asset value. You want to trade around net asset value. But if they're spending 500K a month, right, and they have a $5 million Treasury, well, that Treasury is going to quickly drop from 5 million to 4 million to 3 million to 2 million. So you have to actually, do those projections a couple months out is the wise thing to do. But let's actually pull this up. Okay, we talk about Solomon Labs, and we talk about trading close to net asset value. So let's click on Solomon. Forget how much Solomon raised, but let's see. 222, and you can see everything about the project here. So right now, Solomon has $6 million total balance, net asset value. They have $6 million in their books. Again, steady downtrend. There's a 100K monthly spend limit here. We can see here, and we are seeing a steady downtrend. Okay, so there's going to continue to be more spending until we see this flip from going down, 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 like it was at 8 million. Now it's at 6 million, right? It's down $2 million of spends. This is how businesses work, of course. But once it stops going down and actually starts going up, okay, they're revenue positive. They're profitable. Again, look at this. Market cap is 7.2 million on Solomon. Yet they have $6 million in total assets. Now imagine they spend 100, 200, 300K a month. Okay, this quickly goes from 6 million to 5 million. So give yourself 3 months. This will be at 5 million. But again, Solomon trades at 7.2 million. What's the premium there? This was trading at, okay, here, I'll tell you the premium. So again, 5.93 million, we'll call it 6 million assets on balance sheet. Right here. I'll even mark it out on the chart for you guys. I'll go right here. Boom. This right here is net asset value. That's net asset value, guys. We'll put this at the bottom. If Solomon gets to around this level, it's a very safe trade. Of course, nothing is free. Yep. So solo stackers, take notes here. Nothing is free. Nothing is risk-free when it comes to trading. But this is what you look at. Again, Here, I'll even get a little clip for you guys here. When you're looking at Solomon Labs, this is what you want to look at. And this is the case for every MetaDAO project. They have $5.93 million on their balance sheet, $6 million. So we know this is net asset value. Whenever the token trades market cap around or at net asset value, you have a good deal, because we know MetaDAO, you can vote to liquidate the treasury at any point in time. So if this is $6 million in total balance, total net asset value, and the token goes and trades at $5 million, well, guess what? It's likely that holders of the token are going to vote to liquidate the treasury and actually get paid out. So the downside is very limited once you get to at or around net asset value. Solomon Labs is trading at $6 million net asset value. $6 million net asset value. I tab over here to the token, and of course I have the NAV marked out on the chart. I tab over to the token. It's got a $7.2 million market cap. So it is trading at a premium of the assets it has on its book by 22%. So if you factor in monthly spend and a few things, what's the downside on this? Right? What's the most downside? Now, if you sit in it forever, of course, the downside continues to increase as spends happen. But at today's current point in time, the real true downside, because again, this could get liquidated for the $6 million it has and paid out to holders, the real true downside is about 20%. When you think about RR, that's not so bad. A downside of 20% versus an upside for stablecoins. Of course, stablecoins is one of the fastest and largest emerging narratives right now. There's a pretty compelling narrative here. So Solomon's probably the main one I'd watch for MetaDAO. And again, the key here is watching this chart of the net asset value, their treasury value over time. We're going down, right? We launched, we have $8 million we raised. Spend for the last couple months. We've just been spending, of course. When does this flip to profitability? Okay, so we've gone from 8 million to 6 million. We're down $2 million since inception. I say down, but of course, this is just spending. When does this go from burning revenue, burning treasury to profitable? And we actually flip from, 7 million, 6 million, 5 million to, wait a minute, 5 million, 6 million, 7 million. Now we're actually becoming profitable again. We're not again, but we're actually a profitable company now. And you can put multiple projections on this, growth projections, price to earnings projections. Of course, it's all owned. The inflows, IP are all owned by the holders. So something very special about MetaDAO and Solomon Lab in that sense. But I would say keep an eye on this one. And for any of the MetaDAO tokens, this is a great way to kind of gauge the value you should be looking at. The closer you are to net asset value, the better your risk to reward becomes. So that's Solomon. Outside of Solomon, guys, anything else you want me to cover? There's really not much. It's actually a slower day in the market despite everything popping off throughout the week. Again, nice to see Clued popping off and catching bids here. Well deserved. Well deserved. Pump Fun again in that like all-time low range just continues to trend down. We saw some, Ansem picking it up recently, talking about they should do the airdrop. This is trading at 523 million despite doing, $1 million in 3 days of burns. I look at Pump Fun on my board. They're doing 50% buybacks. Yeah. So we don't know when this FDV is going to fully come out, but let's just talk about market cap. They are doing $165 million a year in buybacks. $165 million a year in buybacks at this current rate. That's a 1-to-3 price to earnings ratio on this. It'll take 3 years of buybacks and burns. Of course, this pushes price up. So it actually doesn't work necessarily like that. But in theory, 3 years at this price spot, if they bought all of the spot off the market, it would take 3 years at the current price to buy up all of this. 1-to-3 price to earnings ratio is solid. Very, very good. Of course, as the market continues to kind of bleed, Pump Fund will bleed. But once volumes pick up, this is going to be a very obvious trade. A very obvious trade. So I'm not positioned in Pump Fund right now. I'm positioned in Meteor, I think, which is a great trade right now with the emergence of equities. But as volume comes back, this becomes a very, very reasonable trade because price to earnings go from 1-to-3 to you're now earning more money a year than the market cap values. Like they could probably earn more than $523 million a year if volumes pick up. Well, yes, they could. If volumes pick up 3x from this point, they'd be earning equal amount to their market cap. And that will happen in a good market. It'll actually eclipse $520 million a year in a good market. So Pump Fund looks really, really strong. Not really strong. Obviously, it looks the opposite of strong right now, but like a strong one you should be watching for the market to turn around. Pod's been picking up recently. Of course, they're doing the peer-to-pool model. They have the largest decentralized uncensored model on Venice. And this one's just grinding up. Beautiful chart. One of the best ones on base right now. Kled down in a buy zone. Not going to get too much into the weeds on that. Here, let's do Orinth. Look at Orinth real quick. Of course, this is popping off. It's at 844K. Man, was at 2 million earlier. This could pose as an opportunity the lower we go. Yeah, I would say around 800K. If their ecosystem continues to pop off, this is one to watch. But all right, guys, that's going to be all for me today. I appreciate you guys. Tap in. Make sure you follow MCG. Monday through Friday, we're live. We have a really, really, really good week coming up. We're going to get these out to you as soon as possible, keeping the information dense and high. Remember, we have a Discord out in the link in the bio of MCG. You can join, talk to everybody. Lots of really good trades coming through that recently. Product on the way. Josh is hard working at that right now. Appreciate you guys as always. Love you. Peace.